Chapter 31 Bestly Chosen Gifts. The thoughtfulness of Zhou Qian at any time and place. When he got out of the car, he went around the trunk. Shen King was a little curious and took a look at the past few steps and saw that he was taking gifts. There are many gifts in his trunk. Maybe he came back from a business trip and prepared gifts for everyone around him. And even his suitcase was still there. He really came to find her when he left the airport. I need to trouble and I'm sorry. So I also brought her a gift. When Zhou Qian said this, he closed the trunk and glanced inside curiously when he saw Shen King's eyes. He smiled and there were a lot of gifts. Yesterday, I asked my assistant to buy them for me in advance and prepared them for everyone around me. Without Shen King's question, Zhou Qian said this himself. Is it also prepared for my father in advance? Shen King was surprised. She thought it was because she was going to the door, so she gave the gift in order. To count the gift. Your father is my father-in-law. Zhou Qian looked at Shen King and couldn't laugh or cry. Zhou Qian has also included the Shen family in the scope of the people around him, but to be honest, his father-in-law is indeed quite close. Shen King just nodded leisurely, moved his lips, and finally did not say what was in his heart. The father-in-law has been counted. What about her future wife? Two people entered Xue's store together, and Xue entertained them warmly. In the chat between Xue and Zhou Qian, there were many professional words about the communication about wedding dresses. Zhou Qian will patiently explain to Shen King again in easy-to-understand words. Only then did Shen King know that what he had said before was not right and not rigorous, because he was indeed. And Xue used to be a regular designer of their family, and she was familiar with them. When Zhou Qian was a child, she was also interested in it. So Xue led her into the door. Later, he took the opportunity to study and take the certificate. He is a serious designer. He just doesn't need to develop in this direction, and he doesn't have to live on this. After the wedding dress was finalized, it was already dark, and Xue also asked them if they wanted to have dinner together in the evening. When Zhou Qian took her away, she told Xue that she would go home first next time. He just came back from a business trip and didn't put his luggage. It's really me to go home. And Xue didn't leave any longer. When the two returned to the side of the car, Shen King stopped. Why don't I take a taxi back by myself? Don't see me off. It's troublesome to run back and forth. Shen King didn't want to visit his house again, so it's the best choice to live separately now, which will not waste the time of this Hogwarts banquet. Don't you want to have a look? Zhou Qian looked at her. I didn't say hello to your father in advance. I thought I went back to our home. Zhou Qian looked into her eyes, said this, paused for 2 seconds and continued. The decoration was finished. I want to go over and have a look. You go with me to see the effect, and recognize the door. When I came back before, I sometimes lived there. I just said hello to my father and didn't go back. Seeing Shen King's silence, Zhou Qian said this again. Well, Shen King nodded and silently opened the co-driver's door. In fact, when she sat in the car, she didn't think about whether Zhou Qian would go back to his father's place or not, but that she suddenly realized that Zhou Qian's place was really a room where orphans and widows coexisted, and it was still a place to be used as a wedding room. It feels quite subtle. The movement of Zhou Qian's car pulled her back to her senses. She looked up at Zhou Qian. Zhou Qian had smiled and handed her an exquisite small gift box. Your gift, lipstick. Shen King blurted out that he suddenly had such a premonition. Zhou Qian smiled and did not deny it. He came a little closer to her, and then whispered that your gift was bought by myself. When Zhou Qian said this, Shen King subconsciously swallowed saliva, perhaps because Zhou Qian's breath was too close. Zhou Qian's eyes fell on her lips and continued to speak. His tone seemed to be a little ambiguous, and I specially asked the clerk that the lipstick color was very light, and kissing would not fade. Chapter 32 It will be wrong. Zhou Qian's house is very big. After Shen King entered the door, he looked up and looked around. Finally, he raised his head and his eyes fell on the bright chandelier. Those were already there. This time, they just added some soft clothes. Zhou Qian followed her gaze and said this. Shen King nodded and looked at Zhou Qian. Zhou Qian put her luggage by the door, and then poured her a glass of warm water. When he handed over the water cup, Zhou Qian smiled again. I put my luggage first, and then took a shower and looked around by yourself. When Zhou Qian said this, he pulled the suitcase again and pushed it in the direction of the room. When he got to the door, he turned to look at her. There were still several rooms over there, and you can also visit them. Okay. Shen King nodded and looked at Zhou Qian's figure and entered the room. Shen King held the water cup, but he didn't really drink it. Not good, very bad. Shen King sighed and shook his head. He came back and stayed with her for most of the day. When he got home, he cleaned up the east. It's normal for Xi to take a hot bath, but I don't know why. He always feels very subtle when he says to take a shower in her. She put down the water and put it on the coffee table, then took a deep breath and raised her steps. Shen King was not really in the mood to visit. He just took a look at the living room, and then went to see the other rooms. They were all very well decorated. Out of the room, Shen King subconsciously looked at the room where Zhou Qian was. So what does Zhou Qian mean? Before, Zhou Qian asked her how she wanted to get along with her. Later, she drank too much and kissed her in the car. Now she brought her back and took a shower when she entered the house. It should be that she didn't want to treat each other as outsiders, right? She walked over step by step. As soon as she stood at the door suddenly opened. I finished washing. What's the matter? Zhou Qian was quite surprised when he saw Shen King, but he still asked gently. This man has arrived at the door. He is probably looking for him for something. Don't want to drink water. When Zhou Qian spoke, his head was slightly tilted. His eyes swept over her side face, looked at the sofa behind her, and saw the glass of water on the coffee table. Oh, no. Shen King quickly waved his hand and looked slightly. He could just see Zhou Qian's chest in a bathrobe at this moment. Well, I drank it. Shen King quickly turned his eyes away and did not dare to look up at Zhou Qian. He simply turned around directly, then sat down on the sofa, picked up the water glass, and quickly took a big sip in front of Zhou Qian. Haha, Zhou Qian smiled. When he came over, Shen King glanced at him secretly, but did not dare to glance at him wantonly. Zhou Qian sat down beside her. He was wearing a bathrobe like this at this moment, and Shen King didn't know where to look. Are you still satisfied with me? Zhou Qian looked at her face and asked. Satisfied? Shen King nodded and still did not dare to raise his eyes, but he could feel that Zhou Qian's eyes did not move away from her face, but a little deeper. Shen King swallowed his saliva, and his heart tightened a little. Zhou Qian stared at her with interest for a few seconds, then sighed softly, leaned back and leaned against the sofa. He took his mobile phone out of his bathrobe pocket and waved to Shen King. With the other hand, come here. When Zhou Qian called her name, Shen King bit her lip and took a deep breath, as if she had finally ventured out. She suddenly got up and walked to Zhou Qian in 2 steps. As soon as Zhou Qian looked up, he saw Shen King's enlarged face. Shen King sat down directly face to face and sat on his lap. Zhou Qian held his mobile phone tightly and pressed the screen black without making a sound, so Shen King did not see the takeaway page on the screen. 大写 T. He came back from Anxue. Until now, they haven't eaten yet. Zhou Qian is worried that she is hungry. Although she can live here, she hasn't put any ingredients here recently. At this moment, Zhou Qian's face did not change, but his eyes still shrank. He didn't say anything. He just turned his head slightly and looked at Shen King, who was close at hand. Shen King also looked at him, but the eye contact would only make her feel more entangled. She simply held Zhou Qian's face, then closed her eyes and put her head directly on his lips. Zhou Qian didn't move, and his deep eyes stared straight at her trembling eyelashes. Shen King's kiss was very green and clumsy. Zhou Qian's palm was slightly loose and let the mobile phone slip from his hand. He gently clamped the back of Shen King's head with one hand and deepened the kiss. The other hand had already held her waist, and then easily turned over and pressed her on the sofa. The arch of the sofa behind her back made Shen King open her eyes timidly. She could see Zhou Qian's face in front of her. Feeling that she opened her eyes, Zhou Qian stepped back a little and looked at her with burning eyes. Looking at each other, Shen King could hear the sound of his heart fluttering and jumping to his throat. She couldn't let go. That night, she had no way out and had the mentality that she must succeed. Now, she has succeeded, but she can't have that kind of courage. 大写 M. 8 people's hearts are so complicated. At that time, she only thought about success and didn't care what Zhou Qian thought of her. Now, she began to be entangled in her heart, entangled with Zhou Qian's words, and even considered the meaning of his words. So now, does Zhou Qian want her to take the initiative or to be reserved? How much more important will she take if she takes the initiative or is reserved? After chatting, Zhou Qian looked at her and suddenly smiled. He got up and pulled Shen King up together. The two changed back to their previous posture and sat on his lap face to face. Shen King looked at him and said nothing, as if he was waiting for his evaluation of her performance just now. Since we are going to get married, I hope we can all be together for a long time, so it is very important to be honest with each other. What do you think? When Zhou Qian said this, he looked up at her and did not put down his hand around her waist, but he was not more presumptuous. I don't know what your ideal lover looks like. I don't know what I should do for your husband so that we can live a more harmonious and long-term life. There are indeed many things we don't know and are not familiar with each other. Therefore, you can tell me directly about many things, many preferences or joys or injustice. Shen King looked at him and digested the meaning of his words. Zhou Qian's hand on her waist patted her twice, which was quite soothing. He smiled and continued to say, for example, if you don't want anything to happen to me now, nothing doesn't have to happen, and there's no need to pander to me. Shen King didn't say anything, but lowered his eyes. Zhou Qian looked at her and smiled. I haven't lived here for a long time. There are few clothes in the wardrobe, and the clothes in the suitcase have to be washed again, so I wear a bathrobe. Chapter 33 I am satisfied with you. Zhou Qian deliberately went back to the room and changed his clothes. When he came out of the room again, he first set an example for frankness. He sat on the sofa, then took his mobile phone back in his hand and turned it around. He said, I'm leaving here today. If you leave, I'll be alone, so I want to have a meal with you here and have a companion. What about you? Are you willing or not? Yes. Shen King nodded, a little innocent and aggrieved. Then come here now and see what you want to eat. Zhou Qian smiled and turned on his mobile phone. Shen King sat down beside him. When he took the mobile phone, he glanced at him and opened his mouth. What about you? I eat everything and order whatever I want. Zhou Qian smiled. Shen King looked at him a little more seriously. I mean, what about the wife in your heart? What should I do? In this way, I am satisfied with you. Zhou Qian shrugged slightly, as if he said this lightly. Shen King looked at him and shook his head quickly. I'm not dissatisfied with you. I know. Zhou Qian nodded, and then tried to open his mouth. Is that? Can't let Sixun go. No. Shen King shook his head. That's right. I don't think we know each other. I don't know what you think. Haha. Zhou Qian laughed out loud and raised his hand and patted her on the head with a little dot. He guessed if he didn't know. You don't know how to ask. In the future, ask me directly. Zhou Qian opened his mouth, paused for 2 seconds and continued to speak. I will also ask you directly. Okay? Shen King nodded solemnly. So, do you like the gift I gave you? Zhou Qian is honest. He just agreed to ask frankly and directly, which is a real question. Like? Shen King nodded, met Zhou Qian's eyes, and bit his lip again, smiling a little awkwardly. In fact, he couldn't say whether he liked it or not. I glanced at it and didn't see what color it was at all. After saying this, Shen King looked at him nervously. Zhou Qian smiled and seemed to be quite satisfied with her frankness. Can you put on that lipstick when you meet me next time? Zhou Qian opened his mouth. Shen King found that Zhou Qian could really ask any questions without any burden. Okay, but Shen King really has no reason to refuse. She nodded. Okay, let's eat something. Zhou Qian's smile was a little stronger. Shen King made the master and ordered a few dishes. During the waiting for the takeaway, Zhou Qian went to the balcony and called his father. Shen King looked at his bag on the balcony through the glass. Zhou Qian is wearing sporty clothes at this moment, which should be the clothes he wore for a long time. No wonder he chose to wear a bathrobe. Thinking of this, Shen King's heart jumped unconsciously again. She found that at the previous moment, she was not unwilling, but nervous and at a loss. She didn't know how to have a second time with Zhou Qian. Or to put it bluntly, she didn't know whether she and Zhou Qian would be in bed like that night or different. She didn't know what the experience of Zhou Qian was like that night, but in her heart, she was a little embarrassed after all. People I've never seen are flirting in front of him. Zhou Qian quickly hung up the phone and went back to the living room. Do you want to watch TV? When Zhou Qian sat down, he asked this question, which was like asking a boring child if he wanted to watch cartoons. No, Shen King shook his head. Although it was indeed a little boring at the moment, he didn't want to watch TV. Shen King looked at Zhou Qian, cowed lightly, and then said, I can't cook. Well, Zhou Qian nodded, with some surprise. Shen King took the initiative to communicate with him. After graduation, my father originally wanted me to go to work in the company, but I didn't like it, so I didn't go. I originally planned to open a coffee shop, but later our company had its own problems, so we couldn't do it for the time being. I didn't think you were ideal. Zhou Qian smiled and understood what she was worried about. For fear that he would misunderstand her, Miss Shen can't turn it around, but Mrs. Zhou can. If you want to open it after marriage, I will support you. Hearing Zhou Qian say this, Shen King took a deep breath and became more serious. She faced Zhou Qian, looked at him, and opened her mouth. In fact, I think you have suffered a financial loss. After we get married, I don't think I should. Are you cheating on marriage? Zhou Qian interrupted her and asked. Shen King looked at him and didn't dare to speak anymore. If you get a certificate from me, pretend to play for a few days, and then divorce me, it will indeed be a loss. But if you really want to live with me, there will be nothing to lose. Zhou Qian looked at her, and his eyebrows were a little more serious. Shen King, to put it well, the husband and wife share honor and disgrace. To put it a little, you marry someone else, or I marry someone else, are actually the same. It's all the same thing. There is something involved between the two families, and the interests are the same in the future. Therefore, you didn't buy yourself for me, so you don't have to be too serious. Shen King looked at him and said nothing. Zhou Qian's words were not good, but it was reasonable. Isn't this what a business marriage is like? 10,000 steps back. Even if Zhou Zixuan not to get married, will they just talk about love? It's the same. He doesn't like her, but his future interests are one. The atmosphere seemed to suddenly fall into silence. Shen King actually knew that as long as he was safe and protected himself, they could indeed live for a long time with such thoughtful education and personality as Zhou Qian, but he always felt a little sad in his heart. Zhou Qian's phone rang. He looked down and got up. I went to get the takeaway. Shen King nodded and continued to sit numbly. Zhou Qian quickly came in with the takeaway and went straight to the direction of the table. After putting the things down, he glanced at Shen King's direction, and his tone was much softer. Come over for dinner. Shen King took a deep breath, and then got up. She walked to the table, and then stood in front of the table to watch Zhou Qian. We are all sincere now, but will you worry that one day you will meet us? Oh, me and you really like. Shen King's heart is sad that this marriage is indeed different from what she imagined when she was a child. If there is decent and responsibility in marriage, you can live for a long time. But if there is no love in marriage, it is also tormenting. She knows that she can't ask for anything in her current situation, and it is a luxury to marry love. But what about Zhou Qian? What if he meets him in the future? Zhou Qian paused and looked at her with deep eyes. Shenqi, marriage is loyalty. Getting married means not making other choices, which is eternal loyalty. Chapter 34 The Taste of the Past. It was very late when Zhou Qian sent Shen King home. When the car stopped, through the window, Zhou Qian seemed to vaguely see someone coming out of the room. Zhou Qian was very interesting and quickly unfastened his seatbelt. Shen King moved faster and had pushed the car door out of the car. Brother, haven't you slept yet? Shen King got out of the car and faced Shen Haoji, who was coming towards them. As soon as I came back from work, Shen Haoji said in an understatement. Overtime has become common during this period. When Shen Haoji spoke, his eyes turned slightly and he had already looked at Zhou Qian, who got out of the car. Mr. Zhou, Shen Haoji stretched out his hand to him with a smile, which was very decent, but there was still unconscious guard and faint imperceptible resistance in his eyes. Zhou's stepbrother, Zhou Qian smiled and he also stretched out his hand to him. The moment his palm touched, Zhou Qian smiled, glanced at Shen King, and then said, I'm sorry, I came back late with he for dinner together today. Zhou Qian is still very sensitive and can understand Shen Haoji's silent dissatisfaction. Nothing happened. Shen Zhou smiled, withdrew his hand, and glanced at Shen King. Let's go home first. I'll have a chat with Mr. Zhou. Oh, Shen King pursed his lips and nodded. When he raised his feet and left first, he looked back a few times. Zhou Qian smiled and tilted his head slightly and waved at her as if nothing had happened. Looking at Shen King's figure disappearing, Shen Haoji smiled again. I thought about it for a while and felt that I should say thank you to Mr. Zhou in person. Shen Haoji touched his pocket and took out a box of cigarettes. Before he handed it over, Zhou Qian had already waved his hand. I don't smoke. Haha, it's a good habit. I smoke when I work overtime. Shen Haoji took a cigarette and put it in the corner of his mouth to light the previous topic. Mr. Zhou's funds were very timely, which saved me a lot of trouble. You're welcome. It's all his own people. Zhou Qian smiled and continued for 2 seconds. Moreover, he has already thanked him. When Zhou Qian said this, he could see that the smoke at the corners of Shen Haoji's mouth was a little brighter. He was sucking fiercely, and there were emotional ups and downs under his face. Zhou Qian actually knows Shen Haoji's dissatisfaction with him. His peers think they know about men, and the old cow eats young grass. Not to mention that this young grass is his own sister. Shen Haoji is a very complicated person. His upbringing makes him have to thank him and accept her sister is marriage. Moreover, the current economic problems do not allow him to have too much emotional opposition, but in his heart, he's still disdainful, but powerless. If it was Zixuan, he would be okay, because he knew that Shen King had been careful. He knew that it was not a complete commercial marriage. She had a liking in it, but Zhou Qian, who suddenly came back, was completely a sacrifice for Shen King. My sister has been spoiled since she was a child, and in the future, she hoped that Mr. Zhou would be more tolerant. Shen Haoji looked at him, smiled, and then took the cigarette from the corners of his mouth. She is not spoiled. I think she is very good and sensible. Zhou Qian smiled, raised his hand, and put his elbows lightly on the car, as if he was a kind of patience, and as if he had lost patience. That's good. Then Mr. Zhou should go back to rest earlier. When Shen Haoji said this, he looked down at the time. Well, Zhou Qian was not polite to him and turned around and got into the car. Shen Haoji watched Zhou Qian's car leave before returning home. When he got home, Shen Qing was already sitting on the sofa, with a small bowl in his hand, and it was still steaming. What do you want to drink? Shen Haoji walked over and asked when he sat next to her. Shen Qing took a deep breath, sat lazily on the sofa, made cereal, and didn't eat enough at night. Shen Haoji looked at her, took a deep look for a few seconds, then got up and went to the kitchen. Shall I get you something to eat? Is it not comfortable to eat with Zhou Qian? Before entering the kitchen, Shen Haoji asked like this, but it seemed that he didn't really wait for Shen Qing's answer. Of course, Shen Qing didn't answer. He just held the bowl and took a sip. Shen Qing drank half a bowl and heard the sound of a message. She put down the bowl and found Shen Haoji's mobile phone under the sofa pillow. She saw a strange number sending him a message. Shen Qing hesitated for a few seconds, got up, and then took his mobile phone into the kitchen. Brother, someone is looking for you. Shen Haoji wiped his hands, turned his head to look at her, and then took the mobile phone. When he looked down at the screen, his face sank a little. He didn't answer. He directly pressed the mobile phone back, and then put it in his pocket. Go out and wait for me. I'll bring you the noodles later. Don't you have to reply? Shen Qing looked at him. No, I'll just call back later. Shen Haoji smiled. Oh, Shen Qing nodded. She didn't ask much about Shen Haoji. Shen Qing just turned around and was about to leave. Shen Haoji suddenly stopped her. Don't come back so late in the future. What? Shen Qing turned his head and looked at him, puzzled. I said, don't come back so late when you go out with Zhou Qian in the future. Shen Haoji was more direct, silent for 2 seconds, and continued to go out with him less in the future. We are about to get married, and Shen Qing can't laugh or cry. It's not that it hasn't been concluded yet. Shen Haoji looked at her. Who knows what will happen in the future? Shen Qing was speechless, but didn't say anything. He just sighed and turned around and went out. Their family has collected all the money, and it's very boring to say such words. This is pure selfishness, and she also needs money and face. She doesn't think that now she has to pretend to be innocent. Shen Haoji soon left the kitchen and put the bowl of noodles on the coffee table. Come and have a taste. Thank you. Shen Qing sat down, but he was not polite. He broke the bowl, blew it, and tossed at it. After taking a bite, Shen Qing was stunned. This taste is very familiar. Long after a long time, this kind of familiarity made Shen Qing a little sad and wanted to cry. How about it? Does it taste the same as before? Shen Haoji sat down beside her. Shen Qing didn't say anything, just lowered his head and ate. The taste is exactly the same as what her mother cooked for her before. She really hasn't eaten such a taste for a long time. I learned from my mother for a while before, and I don't know if I really learned well. Shen Haoji said this. Shen Qing was well taken care of by his mother, and the little princess grew up in her hand. Seeing Shen Qing's silence, he said again, what my mother is most worried about is you. I'm afraid that you will be wronged and unhappy in the future. Indeed, before their mother left, it was her little daughter who was most uneasy. Chapter 35. People are different. Shen Qing went back to his room, took a shower and went to bed, but he didn't really fall asleep. After tossing and turning for a long time, she still got up again, then turned over the bag she had brought with her today, and found the small gift box given to her by Zhou Qian. She opened the gift box and looked at the delicate lipstick inside. After hesitating, she sat in front of the dressing table and tried the color. The touch of lipstick was applied. She looked at herself in the mirror. Somehow, she suddenly remembered the kiss with Zhou Qian today. This color is still very suitable for her, and she really picked up the tissue and tried to wipe it gently to know if it really didn't fade as Zhou Qian said. When the mobile phone message rings, she jumped a little, got up and went back to the bedside to take her mobile phone. When she clicked it, there was a flash of loss. She felt that it was not because it was Zhou Qian who sent the message, but because she was frustrated because her guess was wrong. The message was sent by her classmates and friends. Some time ago, several friends said they were going on a trip. She was going to go with her, but later there was a problem at home, so she was not in the mood to go. Although she can't help even if she is not at home, she can't go out with peace of mind. Her friend sent her a lot of photos of them playing outside, and asked her if she regretted not following her. At that time, she didn't talk to her friend too much about her family. She just said lazily that she didn't like to go out and run around. My friend also sent her the time of their return flight, saying that she had bought a lot of things, asked her to pick them up, and then have dinner together. Shen Qing agreed very bluntly. It was no longer interesting if he didn't accompany them to play together. He would definitely pick them up. Shen Qing got up early the next day. Shen Haoji was surprised when he saw her leave the room. You, so early? Well, when he woke up, Shen Qing nodded, looked around and said again, "Where's Dad? I made an appointment with Uncle Omar to go fishing and set off very early," Shen Haoji said naturally, and then smiled. "Did you get up or just come out for a walk? Do you want to have breakfast?" "Don't eat." Shen King shook his head. Shen Haoji was almost finished. She didn't need to eat anymore. She walked to the table, then pulled a chair and sat down opposite Shen Haoji. She held the table with her hand on the table and looked at him with a smile. "Brother, when will you go out? Where are you going?" "I'm not in a hurry. I can see you off." Shen Haoji looked at her and smiled. "You don't need to send it. I want to borrow your car for a day." Shen Haoji looked at her with a serious expression, as if he was considering the result of her words. After a few seconds, he opened his mouth. "Do you open? What do you mean by this expression?" "Did I have a good time when I took the driver's license exam? I used to go out with my friends, and they drank too much. It was all my okay." Shen King's words are true. She hasn't opened it for a while, and her hands are worn. She plans to practice for a while today and then pick it up. So she got up so early. She can do a lot of things well. At least her friends are at ease with her. But in front of her family, especially her father and brother, she doesn't know why she automatically becomes a child who can't carry her hands and shoulders. It's not that she really can't do it, but that the family subconsciously thinks she can't do it, and they don't want to let her do it. "I'll go out later. You take me to the company and then drive away." Shen Haoji looked at Shen King's face when he said this. Shen King opened his mouth like this. It was difficult for him to say anything, but he had to ask Shen King to send her off and experience her driving skills in person. "Okay." Shen King nodded. Shen Haoji sat in the co-pilot of the car together. After the car started, Shen Haoji's voice never stopped. He subconsciously chattered. He turned the corner in front of him and turned on the turn signal. There was a car in front of him to keep a distance. Wait for the red light in front of him. Shen King didn't say these things, and Shen King could know by himself. But Shen Haoji's chattering voice distracted her. Shen King finally parked the car on the side of the road, and then turned to look at him. "Brother, it's not dangerous for me to drive, but it's dangerous for you to talk." Shen King drove okay, but he didn't sleep enough to talk while driving. Shen Haoji looked at her and sighed lightly. He stopped talking. Finally, he opened his mouth. "In this way, I will say something. It may not be very good, but you remember that it's just that the front is not a big truck. I'd rather hit it. You know." Shen King looked at him. The four eyes are facing each other. Shen Haoji is very direct and selfish. "Your speed really crashes forward directly. There is no big problem. What do you hit? Don't be a hero on the road, you know." Shen Haoji's words were very selfish, but he was also very serious. He reached out and touched Shen King's head, looked at her sideways, and waited for her to nod. "Many times, human nature is evil by nature. You have compassion, but it is more beneficial to you. In other words, what really happened? It's true that you sympathize with others, but it's also true that you're not lucky enough not to be around you." Shen King. He looked at him. She didn't think she could really cause a big disaster, but when it came to this, she still couldn't help asking, what if there were people in front of her? Shen Haoji didn't say anything, withdrew his hand, was silent for a few seconds, and then opened his mouth. "If you want to make such an assumption, I can answer. I don't ask you to do anything about your question. I don't want to influence you with my worldliness. But if you are by my side and what's really wrong with me driving, I probably won't want to turn the tide. Because as a result of failure, you will die. I don't agree, but I understand." Shen King took a deep breath, nodded leisurely, looked at Shen Haoji for a few seconds, and smiled again. "Don't worry, I'm still driving well, and I will be very careful." Shen King doesn't agree with it, but it's also difficult to refute. It can only be said that many things have different ideas and choices. Her mother is a very soft-hearted person. She will cry when she sees stray cats and dogs on the news. But her father is different from her brother. They are more realistic. They walk in the mall. Perhaps for them, it is the world of wolves, and the kind-hearted sheep will be eaten first. "I'm not questioning you. I'm telling you how important you are to me." Shen Haoji met her eyes and said this. Shen King lowered his eyes and took a while to speak. "Dad, don't you always believe that love is what you should understand in action, and you don't need to express it in words? Why did you come to me and start to express it?" In this respect, Shen Haoji is not like his father. Shen Haoji looked at her, said nothing, and smiled. In order not to regret it, their mother didn't listen to their father's love until she died. He doesn't want such regrets to continue. Chapter 36 Encounter. Shen King drove the car on the street all morning and went to the airport when he was familiar with the car. Shen King didn't bother to wait there all one. He hid in the car and sent a message directly to Qingqing, asking her to call her when she arrived. She was waiting in the parking lot. Anyway, they will turn on the power as soon as they get off the plane, so she doesn't worry about missing it. She didn't do much in the car. She clicked on a skit and didn't finish it, and the phone rang. Hello, are you there? As soon as the phone rang, Shen King picked it up as soon as possible, and his tone was very light. It's a pity that you didn't go you came out. Qing Qing was excited as soon as she opened her mouth. She had a good time this time. It's a pity that Shen King didn't go with her. It can be seen that it's good that you have a good time. Shen King smiled, and the crisp sound of playing over there could already be heard through the phone. How about it? Do you want me to pick you up? Shen King asked. No, we'll go to the parking lot to find it ourselves. Qing Qing replied with a smile. Shen King answered, hung up the phone, got out of the car, and waited by the car. I haven't seen anyone yet, but I have heard the sound and the sound of the suitcase being pushed. My friends seem to be very happy. Here, Shen King walked in the direction of the voice, and several people appeared. They looked tired, but they couldn't hide their excitement. There were a few people in the parking lot, but they were pushing suitcases, and they seemed to be on the catwalk. In fact, this is also a girl's fun. 小弟 大写 W. Several people saw her. They also walked with a smile. Shen King helped them put the suitcase in the trunk. Fortunately, her brother's car was big enough, and 4 suitcases were stuffed into the trunk. Did your luggage be so heavy when you went there? When Shen King covered the trunk, he raised his eyes and asked incredulously that the boxes were heavier than each other. It was light when we went there. We bought it while playing. We bought the suitcase and came back. Tang Ran responded to her with a smile, and then pulled the car door. The sisters had already got in. When Shen King got into the driver's seat, he glanced at Qing Qing, the co-pilot, and then looked back. Tang Ran and the other 2 had collapsed on the seat. It seems that I have finally found a place to cover at will, and I don't have to hold on to such a shining one anymore. How about it? I'm fine. I'll accompany you in front of you. When Shen King fastened his seatbelt, Qing Qing said this with a smile. Do you think there is no seat in the back? Shen King smiled. The 3 behind him twisted and twisted. When he got into the car, he was completely unrestrained. Haha, you still understand me? Qing Qing smiled and quickly fastened her seatbelt. The car started quickly, and the 3 people at the back door were already asleep. Qing Qing looked back several times, and then looked at Shen King again, as if she wanted to say anything but stopped. Shen King slowed down a little, and turned his head to look at her, quite helpless. Say it, don't choke you. She knows Qing Qing very well and knows that she has something to say now. Of course, Qing Qing also understands her and knows that no one can talk to her when she is driving. They were so beautiful just now. Now they are sleeping like something. Qing Qing shook her head and laughed. Just like the catwalk just now. Now it doesn't care about the image at all. Little fairies are also tired sometimes. Shen King smiled and asked, again, do you want to send them back to put their luggage directly? The luggage needs to be put down, but the food also needs to be eaten, and the fun also needs to be played. Qing Qing smiled. She has been away for so long. She has to accompany us tonight without getting drunk. I'd better be your driver. Shen King smiled. Qing Qing looked at her seriously and hesitated for a few seconds before she opened her mouth again. You don't need to drive the car. I mainly want to drink with you. King King took a deep breath and opened her mouth again. This time, her tone was a little lower. Do you know what it means that good things don't go out and bad things spread thousands of miles? Hearing Qing Qing say this, Shen King sighed. What do you know? Everyone knows that there were so many people in the box that night, and I don't know where it has spread. Qing Qing said that she was rejected by Zhou Zixuan that night. There were indeed many people in the private room that day, and even Qing Qing was far away from home knew about it. If you know, you will know. It's not a big deal. Shen King shrinked his mouth. She and Zhou Zixuan boasted that many people knew about this matter, but few people knew about it because she and Zhou Quian had a good deal. Are you really alright? Qing Qing doesn't believe it. It's really okay. Shen King shook his head, and then continued to speak. However, I can't drink with you for nothing else. It's just to welcome you back. Okay, just have fun. It doesn't matter what you want to play. Shen King nodded, said nothing more, and focused on driving. She sent them to them one by one according to the distance of their families, and then made an appointment for the time and place to eat, and asked them to clean up and go there. Finally, we went to Qing Qing's house. Shen King followed her home, waited for her to take a hot bath, and then went to the place to eat together. After the 2 of them arrived, the other 3 elves all arrived one after another. After dinner, Shen King took him to the bar. Shen King didn't spoil their interest. When they arrived at the bar, it was a lively time. There were a lot of people and the music was very loud. Several people found a seat in the hall, and then called a lot of wine. Several people drank and chatted together. Although the laughter was loud, it was like a kind of whisper against the background of the music in the bar. Hey, Shen King was holding a wine glass in his hand and had drunk a lot. At this moment, he suddenly felt that his shoulder was touched by Qing Qing beside him. What's the matter? Shen King turned his head to look at her, and his eyes were quite puzzled. Qing Qing didn't say anything. She raised her eyebrows slightly and looked not far behind her. Shen King turned his head and followed her gaze to look over. Unexpectedly, he saw Zhou Qian sitting at the table not far away. It seemed to be a partner beside him. He didn't know what he was talking about. They were talking happily. So handsome. I don't know when. The others have also come over and look in that direction. Do you think it's possible for me to get a contact number if I go there? Qing Qing turned her head to look at the other people and asked with interest. Go. If you don't go, I'll go. Tang Ran also encouraged him. What do you think? Shen King was suddenly asked. Shen King frowned and didn't know what to say for a moment. Coincidentally, Zhou Qian suddenly turned his head, looked at them, and saw Shen King. Chapter 37 Self-Chosen. Facing the gaze of the last banquet, Shen King subconsciously swallowed his saliva and felt that he was restable for an instant. Zhou Qian seemed to be quite calm. When he withdrew his gaze, there seemed to be a sense of waiting in his eyes. Maybe she really asked her to wait a moment, because Zhou Qian, who withdrew his eyes, raised the smell of wine in his hand and raised it to the person sitting at the table. With him. After drinking, he leaned over and said something in the other's ear. The other party simply finished the wine, and then got up very dashingly. It does mean the end. Shen King actually felt that unconsciously. She seemed to know a little about Zhou Qian, and she could guess his next step from his eyes and expression. Zhou Qian also got up, personally sent the person to the door, and then returned again. This time, he came directly in their direction. He really came. When Zhou Qian came over, Shen King could feel his friends around him get up, and he also pulled her up in the push. They seemed to be still immersed and entangled in who to ask for contact information. In this situation, Shen King was also embarrassed to say that this man was hers. She didn't have time to say that her fiance had changed. Zhou Qian looked around at the people opposite, and finally his eyes fell on Shen King's face. When will you finish? Zhou Qian opened his mouth first, and his tone was calm and soft. In Zhou Qian's eyes, and also in the puzzled eyes of his sister, Shen King took a few steps forward, stood in front of Zhou Qian, and then said awkwardly and reservedly, "They are my friends, and we have just come here." Shen King lowered his eyes when he spoke. He didn't know whether to look at Zhou Qian or the surprised expressions of his friends first. "Then you continue to play?" Zhou Qian seemed to ask casually. He didn't mean to interfere. He hesitated for 2 seconds and continued to open his mouth. "Do you need me to wait for you?" As soon as Zhou Qian's words came out, there was no doubt that he would be close and estranged. The friends looked at each other, and then looked at Shen King, waiting for her introduction. They must know each other and be very familiar. Shen King swallowed his saliva, a little entangled in what words and identity to introduce, and a voice had already come. "Uncle, Zhou Ziquan's voice broke Shen King's entanglement. Zhou Qian turned his head and saw that Zhou Ziquan had come towards them. "Uncle, I drove here. Are you going back now?" Zhou Ziquan walked to Zhou Qian and looked quite obedient. He turned his eyes to look at Shen King's friend, and finally his eyes fell on Shen King. Shen King's friend has been familiar to him these days. He used to follow Shen King together, and he often encouraged her to run after him. Shen King nodded and said, "Hello." There were many puzzled friends behind him. It was not easy to ask anything in person, and he was just silent. Zhou Qian glanced at Zhou Ziquan and then at Shen King. He said in a light voice, "I'll wait for you. Don't be in a hurry. Have fun with your friends. I've finished my work, and I won't rush the time later." After Zhou Qian finished speaking, he deliberately took a step forward, then reached out and hugged Shen King's waist, pulling her a little closer to him. When he opened his mouth again, his tone softened a little. He was really not in a hurry and had a good time with his friends. Zhou Qian gently hugged her, then turned his eyes to her friend and smiled. There was no need to let Shen King introduce him. He said by himself, "I'm Ziquan's uncle, his fiance. I'm in a hurry today. I will definitely treat you to a meal next time." After Zhou Qian finished speaking, he let go of Shen King, then turned around, waved his hand and asked Zhou Ziquan to go together. Looking at the two people leaving, Shen King withdrew his gaze. He could see that everyone was looking at her at this moment. "What's the situation, Shen King?" Qing Qing gently pulled Shen King's arm. Shen King squeezed his lips, sighed softly, and opened his mouth. "It's what you see. Zhou Ziquan has nothing to do with me. I'm with his uncle now." After a few seconds, Shen King said that we were preparing for the marriage. I originally wanted to tell you when the date was set. Several people were surprised. Shen King bit his lip and finally picked up the whole bottle of wine by himself. It's my fault. It's so important that I should have told you early. It's my fault. I punish myself. After saying that, Shen King raised her head directly and drank. She was afraid that her friends would ask more, so she quickly blocked it with wine. After Zhou Qian left the bar, he got into the car. Zhou Zixuan also got into the car. He was not in a hurry to start the car. After he got into the driver's seat, he turned his head back to look at Zhou Qian and said lazily, "Uncle, are you really not going back first? Are you going to wait for Shen King outside? If you have something to do, go first. It's the same if I call a substitute driver." Zhou Qian leaned against the back seat, closed his eyes slightly, and his tone was lazy. "I'm fine." Zhou Zixuan squared his mouth and looked at Zhou Qian with some gossip. "Uncle, how much did you drink?" "Not much." Zhou Qian opened his eyes and looked at him. "I can smell alcohol here. Isn't it much?" Zhou Zixuan laughed, and then turned over in the car. There was no cigarette. "I don't smoke." "Zhou Qian, don't open your face. You don't smoke? But drinking is also harmful." Zhou Zixuan was a little speechless. "It is necessary for me to have a drink, either to reach cooperation or to make partners closer. Which is necessary, unlike you." Zhou Qian opened his eyes and laughed. "What are you drinking for? Have fun with your friends. It's hard to drink too much. What can you get when you wake up? By what you said, isn't it a game to have friends?" Zhou Zixuan smiled. "Well, one day you will not be Master Zhou, and you will know whether your friends play with you really because you can drink. Uncle, it's boring for you to do this. Why do you always pretend to be an elder? Besides, you are so realistic that you have to quantify the friendship between everyone and people. Do I have to see whether it's worth it or not to play with friends? Okay, I'm not realistic, so I'll just say it. We don't interfere with each other." Zhou Qi smiled. Zhou Zixuan was bored and wanted to have a debate with Zhou Qian. After a few seconds of silence, Zhou Zixuan opened his mouth again and gossiped a little more. "Uncle, I heard from my father that Shen King was chosen by yourself to be the daughter-in-law of the Zhou family." When Zhou Qian heard the words, he looked up at him. After looking at each other for several seconds, Zhou Qian hummed and smiled again. "Knowing that I chose it myself, you still have to resist. Did you deliberately not get along with me?" Chapter 38. Are you okay? When Shen King went out to the bar with his friends, he drank a lot, but he still saw the car at a glance. Friends can naturally see it, and they also know the fun. They gently pulled her arm, and then leaned into her ear and said, "If you have something to do, go first, and we can take a taxi back." After Qin Qing said what he said, he pulled others to leave first. Shen King took a deep breath, tried to make himself stand more firmly and a little more sober, and then raised his feet to the direction of the car. "I thought you were going to play until midnight." Zhou Zixuan got out of the car and opened the door behind her with a smile. He vaguely remembered that her friends were very good at drinking and playing. "Thank you." Shen King did not respond to his words, but responded to his actions and opened his mouth to Zhou Zixuan when he sat in. Zhou Zixuan smiled and looked unrestrained. Then he closed the car door directly and went back to the driver's seat. When Shen King sat in, Zhou Qian was leaning against the seat with his eyes closed, and he didn't know if he was asleep. Shen King didn't dare to make a sound to him. In addition, she also drank wine herself and was drowsy, so she simply leaned against him. The car started quickly. "So, friends of yours seem to haven't seen each other for a while." Zhou Zixuan opened his mouth, raised his eyes slightly while talking, and glanced at the car mirror. This was obviously said to Shen King. Zhou Zixuan still looks like it's none of his business. It seems that in his opinion, he didn't feel sorry for Shen King at all. Instead, he did a good thing and became a matchmaker, as if Shen King had a better future because of his lack of coal. As soon as they came back from the trip, Shen King still answered, but the voice was very low. When answering, he also secretly glanced at Zhou Qian. "I don't know if he would wake him up. I'm ready to wait for you until midnight. I didn't expect to come out so early." Shen King frowned slightly and smiled, but replied yes. She didn't know why Zhou Zixuan was so energetic to chat in the middle of the night, but she didn't have a particular desire to chat. They went on a trip. "Why don't you shut up?" Before Zhou Zixuan finished speaking, Zhou Qian's voice had already sounded. Shen King turned his eyes to look at him and didn't see him open his eyes, but she felt that her hand was held. Zhou Qian closed his eyes but held her hand accurately. "Drive well, or you will get out of the car and leave." Zhou Qian still didn't open his eyes, but added this sentence, "Oh, I'm not afraid that she will be bored." Zhou Zixuan was quite dissatisfied and muttered, but he still knew the fun and shut up. Shen King turned his head to look at Zhou Qian. Zhou Qian's lips moved. This time, he said it to her. If you drink too much, you can rely on it. When you arrive, he will call. Well, Shen Qing nodded and closed his eyes. At this moment, not talking is the best choice. Although Shen Qing closed her eyes and leaned against her, in fact, she was not sleepy at all. On the contrary, she was getting more and more sober. She could clearly feel the touch of Zhou Qian's hand surrounding her palm. Zhou Qian's palms are very warm, and even there is a feeling of beating in the palm of his hand. After a while, the car stopped. When Zhou Zixuan unfastened his seatbelt and turned his head, Shen Qing opened his eyes. Humph, with his drinking volume, he taught me a lesson just now. Zhou Zixuan looked at Shen Qing and then at Zhou Qian. Do you think he fell asleep? I'm going to use the car tomorrow. I got out of the car by myself and took a taxi outside. Zhou Qian slowly opened his eyes, looked at him, and said this. At the end, he added a few words. Get out of the car, now. Zhou Qian, you also have it. It's time to cross the river and demolish the bridge. I left all my friends and insisted on driving for you without drinking. Are you treating me like this? Zhou Zixuan is dissatisfied. Zhou Qian sighed and ignored it. He directly pushed open the car door and got out of the car. Shen Qing also got out of the car quickly. She looked around and found that they were downstairs of Zhou Qian's house. Zhou Qian came to her, then took her hand and pulled her upstairs. Zhou Qian pulled her quite hard. He didn't say anything. When he entered the door, he didn't have time to turn on the light. He leaned against the wall of the door first, didn't move, and didn't let go. Shen Qing realized later that Zhou Qian might be seriously drunk today. After leaning for half a minute, he took a deep breath, let go of Shen Qing, and turned on the light by the way. Shen Qing narrowed his eyes slightly and adapted to the brightness. When he looked at Zhou Qian again, he had already raised his feet as if nothing had happened. Looking at the direction he was going, it seemed that he was going to pour water. Shen Qing looked at his back and didn't know whether to follow him or not. He hesitated for a few seconds and sat down on the sofa. Zhou Qian quickly brought a glass of water, then sat down beside Shen Qing and handed her the water. Thank you. Are you alright? 大姐 S. Shen Qing took it over and asked this question with no ease. It's okay. Today's drinking is a little strong, but Zhou Qian is very honest. Then do you want to drink water? Shen Qing moved his buttocks, got a little closer to him, and then handed the water back to him. No. Zhou Qian smiled and shook his head. Shen Qing really can't see through him. He doesn't know whether he is drunk or not. Entangled, she still listened to Zhou Qian. She drank the water by herself. When she put the cup on the coffee table, she found that Zhou Qian's eyes were looking at her, a very subtle look, as if there was no inquiry, and it was just a pure look. Shen Qing looked at him. When they looked at each other, she found that Zhou Qian had no intention of withdrawing his eyes at all. He still looked at her with the same eyes, which was actually a bit like the numb and dull eyes when he drank too much. Shen Qing lowered his eyes and withdrew his eyes. She bit her lip and whispered, are you okay? It's okay. Zhou Qian shook his head, as if he was holding on and woke up a little. I was just looking at your red mouth. Oh, I brought it in the bag. I didn't expect to meet you today. Shen Qing realized in hindsight and raised his hand to touch his lips. He remembered what Zhou Qian said last time that he hoped she would apply the lipstick he gave her next time we met. Shen Qing quickly rummaged through the bag and really took out the lipstick. Shen Qing he held the lipstick and watched Zhou Qian. Zhou Qian's eyes fell into numb confusion again, and he looked at her motionless. Well, do you want to have a look? Shen Qing spoke stubbornly. She thought that with Zhou Qian's personality, she would say it was okay and talk about it next time, but Zhou Qian seemed to have really drunk a little too much today, so she didn't care about the so-called upbringing. Well, I don't know if the clerk lied to me. Zhou Qian actually nodded. His eyes were a little confused, but mixed with some darkness. Chapter 39. Not enough. She took out a small mirror from her bag and really put on lipstick in front of Zhou Qian, which still made her heart unconsciously tighten a little. And at this moment, Zhou Qian did not avoid it, but directly watched her complete the whole process. Shen Qing didn't know what Zhou Qian was looking at, and maybe his brain was numb and his whole body was slow to move, so he didn't show his literacy in time. In fact, Shen Qing could see Zhou Qian's eyes as long as she raised her eyes slightly, but that's why she didn't dare to raise her eyes. The process of applying lipstick suddenly seems to be extremely long, but it will eventually end. Shen Qing closed the mirror, raised his eyes and looked at Zhou Qian carefully. How about it? Does this color suit me? Suitable? Zhou Qian nodded, then went straight over and kissed her lips. It was not a light taste, and the kiss was quite hard. Zhou Qian's strong smell of wine instantly spread clearly in Shen Qing's mouth. Shen Qing didn't move and held the lipstick that didn't even have time to put it back. Zhou Qian kissed for a few seconds, and then realized that he seemed to remember something. He stepped back a little, but looking at Shen Qing's eyes, he was still confused and half drunk. "Can I kiss you?" Zhou Qian seemed to pull back a little more reason, thinking of a gentleman, thinking of treating each other frankly and asking directly. Shen Qing's lips moved, looked at Zhou Qian carefully, raised the lipstick in his hand a little, pointed to the finger back, and signaled to put it back first. Zhou Qian didn't say anything, just looked at her. Shen Qing was under a lot of psychological pressure under his gaze. She turned around slightly and put her lipstick back in her bag. When she closed the bag, she took a deep breath. When she turned her head, Zhou Qian came over again. However, she did not kiss her, but just held her face, stroked the corners of her lips with her fingertips, and pressed her lower lip. Shen Qing looked up at Zhou Qian. Zhou Qian's eyes were very strange at this moment, but it seemed to be familiar. Zhou Qian seemed to be the same that night, silent and hidden storms, like a merciless hunter. The four eyes were facing each other. At this moment, Zhou Qian's face was a little foul. Shen Qing was a little curious and looking forward to seeing him tear off the mask behind his elegant again. The warmth of Zhou Qian's fingers was obvious. Shen Qing lowered his eyes and slowly closed his eyes. Shen Qing closed his eyes and could feel the approach of Zhou Qian's breath. "Can I have you?" Zhou Qian's low voice sounded on her lips, and the heavy breath was not like an inquiry, but like a kind reminder before the storm. Shen Qing didn't say anything. He swallowed his saliva, looked for the breath of Zhou Qian, and then put it on his lips. Adults, not to mention future couples. It seems to be nothing. What's more, not only Zhou Qian drank wine, but also Shen Qing drank a lot. The breath under the alcohol is entangled, and it is easy to have problems. Zhou Qian hugged her tightly, kissed her deeply, and then picked her up directly and went to the direction of the room. Shen Qing is mentally prepared. At some point, Zhou Qian, especially after drinking, will be very different from his usual life. However, Zhou Qian's endlessness still makes Shen Qing a little scared. Zhou Qian is like a bad wolf. After a full meal, he refuses to let go of his food. Shen Qing's heart hurts a little, which is caused by the different steps of the heartbeat and breathing rhythm. Zhou Qian's breath was in her ear, so she didn't dare to breathe too much at this moment. She inhaled carefully. She was afraid that her breathing was too heavy, and it emitted movement and fragrance, which made the wolf couldn't help but want to continue to eat again. The madness before Zhou Qian, the madness, as Shen Qing wished, really tore the elegance apart. But it was also true that his heart was still trembling. The two of them were lying on the bed together. Zhou Qian hugged her from behind, and the breath she exhaled had been lingering on her earlobe. The two of them were also very close. She could feel that Zhou Qian was sticking to her body temperature under the quilt, which was the real body temperature, not even between any clothes. Shen Qing carefully adjusted her breathing. Zhou Qian didn't say anything, and she didn't dare. It was not easy to open her mouth first. She hasn't completely eased the palpitations just now. "Should I be honest with you and tell you my thoughts and feelings?" Shen Qing waited for at least a minute or two before Zhou Qian's voice sounded in her ear. I don't know if it was the breath that passed by when she spoke that made Shen Qing feel numb, or Zhou Qian really kissed her ear while opening her mouth. What? Shen Qing tried to suppress his breath, but when he opened his mouth, he still unconsciously said that his breath was very heavy. "No, enough," for Zhou Qian just said 2 words. Shen Qing felt that a string in his heart was broken in an instant, and the strength of the rebound made her heart tremble. Shen Qing didn't say anything, but he could feel the heat of Zhou Qian's palm, and he had begun to wonder restlessly. The ringing of the mobile phone simply saved her life. She could feel that Zhou Qian's palm seemed to pause, and then left her, and then the warmth around her also left. Zhou Qian sat up straight and helped her take the phone. When Zhou Qian sat up, Shen Qing also turned over carefully. Looking up, he could only see Zhou Qian's strong chest, and the quilt that was brought up when he bent down to get his mobile phone. The moment the quilt was taken up, a little cool wind got into the quilt. She looked down and could see the kiss marks on her body and Zhou Qian's body. "Do you want to pick it up?" Zhou Qian's voice broke her absent-mindedness. She quickly pulled the quilt, then covered her chest, covered it and sat up. Zhou Qian had already handed his mobile phone to her, but his eyes fell more on the kiss marks on her shoulder. Shen Qing didn't dare to look him in the eye, but quickly took the mobile phone and glanced at the screen. It was her brother who called. Shen Qing took a deep breath, and then connected the phone. "Brother." Shen Qing's voice was as steady and calm as possible, and his tone was deliberately light, not wanting the person on the other end of the phone to hear anything. When will you come back? Shen Haoji's voice sounded. Shen King subconsciously looked up at Zhou Qian. The two were so close at this moment that Zhou Qian should be able to hear Shen Haoji's words. Zhou Qian's eyebrows moved slightly, as if he wanted to talk. Shen King subconsciously raised one hand and covered at his mouth. Zhou Qian half smiled and didn't make a sound. He looked at Shen King with a smile. Then he directly held Shen King's hand covering his mouth, and then kissed her palm little by little. Chapter 40 Familiar and Strange. After Shen King hung up the phone, he looked down at Zhou Qian. Zhou Qian was completely engaged at this moment. He kissed her palm, emotional and kiss, which made her have an illusion that if she opened her mouth to interrupt him, it would become a sing. Feeling Shen King's gaze, Zhou Qian slowly raised his eyes. The four eyes were facing each other, and Zhou Qian's eyes seemed to be lazy and full of aggression. The corners of his lips seemed to smile, and then his lips left her palm little by little. Facing Zhou Qian's eyes, Shen King subconsciously swallowed his saliva and wanted to say something, but he was unable to say it for a moment. Did your brother urge you to go home? Although Zhou Qian's lips left Shen King's palm, the breath she exhaled when she spoke could still hit her palm, which made her unconsciously get goosebumps. Shen King nodded and couldn't help swallowing. At this moment, Zhou Qian's eyes made her confused. I don't know whether he wanted her to let her go or not. Then shall I go back? Shen King bit his lip and didn't have the courage to ask for a few seconds. Haha, Zhou Qian smiled, held her wrist, looked at her with burning eyes, and did not give an exact answer. Shen King felt the heat of his wrist. On the other hand, he put down his mobile phone, pulled the quilt to his chest a little more, and looked at Zhou Qian quietly. Your brother is very strict with you. Zhou Qian opened his mouth with a smile and looked down at Shen King's hand being held. I don't know if it was an illusion. Shen King felt that the pulse of his wrist seemed to be lightly pressed by Zhou Qian's fingers. He was very strict. Shen King held his breath and smiled awkwardly. Well, Zhou Qian nodded leisurely and laughed along. Then you go back. Zhou Qian actually asked her back. Shen King lowered his eyes and didn't look at Zhou Qian's eyes. Although Zhou Qian seemed to be asking her if she could go back, Shen King didn't know why now. His mind was full of Zhou Qian's previous words, which was not enough. Zhou Qian's words seemed to have magic, and now they echoed in her ears again and again, and even his tone at that time was completely recalled. Okay, I'll take a shower and calm down. I'll send you back later. Zhou Qian smiled, let go of her hand, and then turned around and got out of bed. Zhou Qian couldn't see outside. When he got out of bed, he turned his back to Shen King. Shen King looked up and could see the fluent lines on his back. What is particularly conspicuous is that there is a red mark on the heel bone of his back, which was left by the nail, which she had just scratched. Well, seeing Zhou Qian lifting his feet away, Shen King suddenly edged out his hand and grabbed Zhou Qian's arm. Zhou Qian stopped, turned his head and looked down at her. Looking at each other, Shen King quickly turned his eyes away. His eyes were quite unnatural. How about I help you? Shen King's voice was very low, and she was embarrassed to raise her eyes after saying that. But she didn't hear Zhou Qian's response. She had to look up, but saw Zhou Qian looking at her with interest and smiling. Mrs. Zhou is so considerate. With his eyes on each other, Zhou Qian said this in a rare tone of a joke. Didn't you say? The two words not enough sounded in her mind countless times, but it was still embarrassing for her to say it out. But she also understood that it was really unkind to ignore Zhou Qian when she couldn't go up or down like this. Zhou Qian was kind to her, and her duty as a wife should be fulfilled to the extreme. Shen King didn't think about it and didn't dare to do it again, otherwise she might know. She'd be able to go back tonight, but she was willing to find a faster way to make Zhou Qian as comfortable as possible. You are so considerate that I can't refuse your kindness. Zhou Qian smiled, and the strong desire was hidden under the smile. He raised his hand, held Shen King's hand holding his arm, and then approached little by little, forcing Shen King to lean back, then directly pressed her wrist and rolled back to bed. When Shen King felt his fingertips caressing Zhou Qian's skin, his breathing was not very smooth. Zhou Qian looked at her deeply. Obviously, it was himself who should have changed and reacted, but he looked at Shen King without blinking, trying to capture all the changes in her expression. Shen King was still a little embarrassed, but the words had been said, and the matter had reached this point, and she could not back down. Shen King closed her eyes slightly, and Annie Zhou Qian's hand drove her. This feeling is very subtle. She and Zhou Qian are obviously very strange, but they always do something to intimate. Because she closed her eyes and didn't dare to look at Zhou Qian, her hearing became sharper, and she could even feel the change between Zhou Qian's breathing. Zhou Qian's breathing is actually very sexy. Shen King can imagine it without really looking at his face. Zhou Qian is really sexy when she is emotional. In the only two intimate contacts, She can clearly feel it. The dark tide that belongs to the assets is surging, which is even more breathtaking. Zhou Qian gave her a lot of time and didn't waste a lot of time. Knowing that she was in a hurry to go home, she could simply take Shen King to take a shower for granted. When the two of them left home together, it was almost early morning. As soon as he got on the bus, Shen Haoji's phone call came again. It's much more natural for Shen King to answer the phone this time. Brother, I'm back. After drinking tonight, the car won't drive back for the time being. Dian, it's okay. I'll come back first, Shen Haoji said, and his tone was a little helpless. If you don't come back, I'm going to go out to pick you up. No, I'm on my way. When Shen King hung up the phone, he glanced at Zhou Qian and drove the car. Zhou Qian has changed back to his previous mature and elegant temperament. He drove the car without squinting, as if the previous breaths were fake. Maybe it's not fake, but men and women can often make a scene. There are some things that a man can't really be done by the woman who is true to the woman, and a woman may not have to leave precious things to someone who loves them madly. The world has become habitually false, and everyone lives like this. Are you still used to driving your brother's car? Zhou Qian suddenly opened his mouth and turned his eyes to look at her. It's okay. I don't often open it. Shen King smiled and looked at Zhou Qian's side face. I don't know why the familiarity and strangeness between them can be switched back and forth so easily. I still have a car. How about you drive it first? Zhou Qian opened his mouth in an understatement, which seemed to be a very common thing. No, I don't usually open it, and it's not too necessary to open it. Shen King waved his hand. That's right. I will try my best to pick you up in person in the future. Chapter 41. The itinerary. Zhou Qian still knew it very well, and did not directly send Shen King to his door. The car stopped when it was still a little distance from their home. Shen King looked up at him, and Zhou Qian smiled at her. You didn't say that you were with me on the 2 phone calls. Since Shen King didn't say anything, maybe she didn't want her brother to know about their relationship tonight. Zhou Qian didn't need to add unnecessary trouble to Shen King. Shen King didn't say anything and unfastened his seatbelt silently. Today, Zhou Qian opened his mouth in a slightly tangled tone. In fact, I don't drink very well, but sometimes I can't push the necessary socializing. If I'm too presumptuous in the future and exceed your bottom line, you can directly splash 2 glasses of water on me, and I can wake up quickly. You are not a bad person and criminal. No, I also scratched you today. Well, that's good. Zhou Qian smiled, and even raised his hand slightly, crossed his shoulder, and touched his back a little. Today's injury is not a bad thing. Shen King did not resist him, but was too fierce, so the wound left behind. Shen King's body has feelings. He likes this feeling. Love is not extravagant, but at least the harmony in this aspect is also good. Shen King frowned slightly and didn't know what to say. Zhou Qian can always take what she can say for granted and underestimate. I hope I didn't let you down today. Zhou Qian smiled, then unfastened his seatbelt, leaned over and pushed the car door open for her. Okay, go back early. I won't accompany you there. Your brother probably doesn't want to see me this night. Shen King nodded and was about to get out of the car when he suddenly turned to look at him. How about lipstick? Without losing color, Zhou Qian smiled. His eyes fell on Shen King's lips, and continued to open his mouth, and it was sweet. Shen King swallowed and quickly got out of the car. Zhou Qian could see that her ears were a little red when she got out of the car. Zhou Qian rolled down the window and saw Shen King disappear. When Shen King returned home, Shen Lian was already asleep. Shen Haoji was not, waiting for her while working on the sofa with a computer. Are you back? Seeing Shen King enter the door, he closed the computer and glanced at the time when he opened his mouth. What did you do today? Looking at Shen King walking to the sofa, Shen Haoji couldn't help asking again. I told you, I picked up Tang Ran and Qin Qing and others. Shen Haoji looked up at her, with a little inquiry in his eyes. He didn't ask much. He just sighed and nodded leisurely. Don't come back so late next time. Shen King looked at him and laughed. What's the next time? When I get married, it is still unknown whether I can go out to play. Shen Haoji looked at her and stopped talking. Finally, he smiled. Don't worry, you will still be free in the future. I promise. What do you promise? Shen King shook his head and smiled, stretched out, and then looked in the direction of the room. Brother, I'll go back to bed first. I'm sleepy. Go ahead. Shen Haoji exhaled. Shen King returned to the room, closed the door, and then pulled the wardrobe to take out his pajamas. In fact, she hesitated to take another shower. At Zhou Qian's place, she just washed before going out. She smelled carefully and could still smell Zhou Qian's shower gel. Hesitating, The mobile phone rang. Shen King clicked on the message, which was sent by Zhou Qian. Are you home? I'm leaving. Good night. I'm here. Good night. Shen King replied to the message and finally decided to change his clothes and go to bed. Changing his clothes and lying on the bed, Shen King turned off the light and felt the faint fragrance in the dark. The mobile phone rang again. This time it was the ringing. Didn't you say good night? Why did you call again? Shen King opened his mouth, and there was an unconscious soft smile in his tone. Shen King also realized it after the afterthought, which was very similar to the teasing of the familiar human. 大姐 S. He also talks like this when chatting with her friends. Didn't they all talk about it? Why did you start chatting again? Are you going to bed? Zhou Qian smiled faintly, as if he didn't care about this detail. Shen King was relieved. Lie in bed. Where are you going back now? Shen King turned over. Back to our home. The car was so quiet that I suddenly wanted to talk to someone. Well, you said. Shen King pulled the quilt on his head, and then put his mobile phone on the bed. He leaned on high side and put his ear against his mobile phone. I don't have anything special to say. Shall I play a song for you? Zhou Qian said this, and then really played music. When the sound of music reached Shen King's ears, her heart felt a little warm. Zhou Qian didn't speak anymore, but the music never interrupted. Shen King soon fell asleep in the sound of music. She is really sleepy, not sleepy, but her body has a strong sense of overdraft. When she lies in bed, she feels that her whole body is very floating and her legs are soft. Zhou Qian was very fierce today, as if he was going to kill her. It's dangerous, but it's also sexy. When Shen King woke up the next day, his arm hurt a little. When he pulled his mobile phone out of his arm, it was already turned off. I don't know how she fell asleep last night, and I don't know how the mobile phone was pressed under my arm, but when I think that she fell asleep on the phone with Zhou Qian last night, it still feels quite subtle. Shen King feels amazing about Zhou Qian now. The time they have known and got along with each other is too short. She thinks it is irresponsible to say that they love or not. Love cannot be easily expressed or easily identified. However, she was a little happy in the midst of misfortune. Like the words of the parents' matchmaker in ancient times, it seems that he did not choose it himself from the beginning, and it seems that there is less freedom. Fortunately, the one who may not meet will become the other half of his life with you. He is not bad. Zhou Qian is really good. They should pay attention to each other and understand each other. Running a long-term marriage should not be a bad thing for them. Shen King stretched out and took his mobile phone to charge. She stood beside her and waited for her mobile phone to turn on. After turning on the mobile phone, she clicked on the recent call as soon as possible. She looked at the duration of her last call with Zhou Qian. More than an hour. Shen King was a little incredible. She seemed to fall asleep without listening to a few songs. Zhou Qian didn't hang up the phone after she fell asleep. It automatically hung up when the mobile phone is out of power. So when she is asleep, does Zhou Qian continue to play songs or just listen to her breathing when she sleeps? Shen King's heart was a little tight, curious and afraid of knowing. Exiting the call record, Shen King found that Zhou Qian had also sent her a schedule. His work and rest time in the next week. Chapter 42. Next time to look at the wedding ring. Shen King finished washing, and then carefully read the itinerary of Zhou Qian again. Zhou Qian was really busy, but he was also really careful. He even marked his lunch break time. Shen King subconsciously glanced at the time. She got up quite late. Isn't it time for Zhou Qian's meal in more than an hour? Shen King hesitated whether to take the initiative to call Zhou Qian. Shen King entered the call record. Zhou Qian's number was already in front of him, but he couldn't make up his mind to dial it. Unexpectedly, Zhou Qian called her first. The mobile phone rang in his hand, and it was just when he was distracted and thinking. Shen King was shocked by the ringtone and subconsciously pressed it through. Seeing that the page had been shown to be on the phone, she took a deep breath, put her mobile phone to her ear and spoke quickly. Aren't you at work at this point? There was a smile in Zhou Qian's voice. Shen King also laughed and wanted to ask what was going on with the phone, but he didn't ask. It seemed that they had finally become much closer. If this question came out, the relationship seemed to be far away again. Therefore, Shen King hesitated for 2 seconds and asked, "Are you going to have dinner soon?" "Yes," Zhou Qian responded with a smile and asked, "When did you get up?" Shen King glanced at his bed and smiled mischievously. "How do you know that I got up? I'm still in bed." "Really?" Zhou Qian smiled. "I thought you were up." "How to say it?" Shen King smiled. "You turned it on, and it should be to get up and charge it, I guess." Zhou Qian really thought so. He tried to call Shen King last night. Her mobile phone was automatically turned off before hanging up. If Shen King hadn't woken up yet, her mobile phone was still turned off, which would naturally not disturb her. If the phone was connected, she should have woken up. "I was joking with you." When I got up, Shen King smiled, paused for 2 seconds, and then said again, "Did I get up too late? I didn't have breakfast, and it was almost in time for your lunch." "Well, then you come on. I was in the company." Zhou Qian seemed to be silent for a few seconds, and then opened his mouth with a smile in his tone, as if he had some compromised connivance. "What?" Shen Qing was a little puzzled. "Have a meal. Do you know the address of the company?" 问号. Zhou Qian asked, paused for 2 seconds and said again. The girl said a word more than twice. "Isn't it a subtext?" Shen Qing's eyes rolled, and then he laughed. "Didn't you say to be frank with each other? If I want to have dinner with you, I will say it directly. Do you want to eat it together?" Zhou Qian smiled and followed her words. "Okay." Shen Qing smiled, then put down his mobile phone, pressed the hands-free press, and hurried to the wardrobe to find clothes. "I asked the assistant to set a seat near the company. If you are not in a hurry, change your clothes slowly. I will send you the address later." When Zhou Qian said this, Shen Qing's hand holding the clothes paused. It was a little incredible. "How do you know that I was looking for clothes?" "I guessed." Zhou Qian opened his mouth, or took a sentence. "Alright, you clean up first. I'll see you later." Zhou Qian finished talking and hung up the phone. Shen Qing took the clothes to the bedside to choose, and finally was set to change into a satisfactory one. After changing clothes, Zhou Qian's message was sent. Shen Qing went according to the address. When she arrived, Zhou Qian was already waiting for her at the door. Shen Qing trotted over in a hurry. When he really got to the front, he suddenly braked and stood up straight. He looked at his face innocently. "I'm sorry, there was a little traffic jam. I didn't expect you to arrive so soon. The company is nearby." Zhou Qian looked light-minded. He raised his hand to hold Shen Qing's wrist and took her in. He opened his mouth as he walked. "I still had a meeting in the afternoon. The lunch break was not particularly long, so he could only eat some nearby." The two went straight to the direction of the window, which was the position he set for his assistant. When he went to the table to pull a chair for Shen Qing, Zhou Qian said again, "I should pick you up. It's really bad today. It was me who disturbed you to go to work." Shen Qing sat down and looked up at him. "It's okay." Zhou Qian smiled, touched her head, and then pulled the opposite chair and sat down, sitting face to face with her. Shen Qing lowered his eyes and was still feeling the warm touch of Zhou Qian's palm touching the top of her head just now. The menu had been handed over. "Let's see what you want to eat." Zhou Qian handed the menu to her and asked with a smile. Shen Qing took it over and turned it over, looking a little embarrassed. Zhou Qian looked at her, watched her turn over the menu, looked at her embarrassed look, with a little appreciation and indulgence. He stretched out his hand and didn't know how to order. Zhou Qian took the menu back to his hand. After turning over with his head, he turned on his mobile phone. "If you don't know what to eat, I'll order it." When I asked the assistant to choose a seat, I also asked him about the signature dishes here. "Why don't we try it?" "Well," Shen Qing nodded quickly with a smile. She was really confused about how to choose. Zhou Qian quickly called the waiter and ordered the food. While waiting for the dishes, Shen Qing looked at Zhou Qian and seemed to have looked at his watch several times. He still couldn't help asking, "Is it too late for you?" "I was a little busy, but I didn't have time to accompany you to dinner." "It was okay." Zhou Qian covered his arms under his sleeve and didn't look at it again. He looked at Shen Qing and said, "How was I?" Did you sleep well last night?" "I didn't know when I fell asleep last night. I fell asleep." "Why didn't you hang up the phone?" Shen Qing was a little embarrassed. "Familiarizing yourself with your breathing." Zhou Qian opened his mouth and looked at Shen Qing slightly. Shen Qing bit his lip and suddenly didn't dare to look at him. This seems to be quite ambiguous, but listening to Zhou Qian say it lightly, it seems to be just an ordinary thing. It's good that he didn't talk in his sleep, or snort. Zhou Qian smiled at her. "Your requirements for your other half are so simple." Shen Qing couldn't help laughing. "There is no need to ask too much." Zhou Qian smiled, and then looked at her and continued to speak. "Tomorrow, I'll get off work early tomorrow, pick you up, and take you to see the ring. The wedding dress has been finalized, and there is also a wedding ring. Under the premise that we don't know each other's preferences, there is no need to surprise. It's better to make sure that you like it in person. After all, the wedding ring is a very important step, and you have to wear it for a lifetime. Therefore, it is better for Shen Qing to really like it." Chapter 43. Can I kiss you? A good meal. When Zhou Qian walked to pay the bill, Shen Qing subconsciously looked at his hand. She was very curious whether he would pay with his mobile phone or wallet. It seemed that he felt Shen Qing's curious gaze. He smiled, put his hand directly on the tablet, and looked at her with a side smile. "Are you looking at how I pay the bill?" "I'm just curious." Shen Qing is very honest. Haha. Zhou Qian smiled. "How about you pay the bill today?" Shen Qing was a little surprised. She was willing to pay the bill, but it was not like what Zhou Qi said at the banquet. After marriage, you pay the bill. Now feel it first. Zhou Qian smiled and looked at Shen King with gentle eyes. Shen King moved his lips, lowered his eyes and said nothing. Zhou Qian said this with obvious meaning. After marriage, let Shen King be the master. By it, Zhou Qian smiled. While laughing, the mobile phone rang. He looked down at the mobile phone screen, and then raised his finger out of the door, signaling Shen King to pay the bill first, and he went out to answer the phone. When Shen King went out after paying the bill, Zhou Qian was still on the phone, right next to the door. Shen King walked to his side, a few steps away, not far away. She didn't dare to disturb Zhou Qian, but just waited obediently beside him. Zhou Qian's call was particularly long. When she hung up the phone, Shen King was already leaning against the wall next to the door. She couldn't hold on to the previous obedient standing for so long. Sorry to keep you waiting for a long time. Zhou Qian put away the phone and walked to Shen King. It's okay. Your work is important. Shen King quickly stood up straight again, and then looked at Zhou Qian innocently. Don't you still have a meeting? How about I go first? Shen King waited for him, just to tell him before leaving. Well, Zhou Qian nodded, looking thoughtful. He looked at Shen King and suddenly pulled her. Do you want to go to the company to have a look? Unexpectedly, Shen King is very honest. She stays away from her company. She is really not interested in this aspect. Well, Zhou Qian smiled. I didn't expect Shen King to be so direct, but in fact, there was also a vague loss. Luo, he was silent for 2 seconds. Instead of letting go of Shen King's arm, he continued to open his mouth. Is he in a hurry to go back? Or I'll take you to my car for a while. Shen King looked at Zhou Qian and was a little puzzled, but he did not refuse. He nodded. Shen King was not in a hurry to go back, and Zhou Qian wanted her to get into the car, but she didn't want to refuse. Zhou Qian's car was in the nearby parking lot, and the two people got in the car soon. This point in the parking lot was very quiet. After the two got on the bus, Shen King looked at Zhou Qian and saw what he brought her here to do. In fact, it's okay. It's rare for you to come out. I want to stay with you for a while. Zhou Qian turned his head to look at her, smiled, hesitated for a few seconds, and opened his mouth again with a tentative tone. My afternoon meeting was changed to online, and it will start here. Okay, this was asked by Zhou Qian. He suddenly wanted to stay with Shen King. As long as it's convenient for you. Shen King smiled, and then squeezed his lips, looking like he would never disturb. Zhou Qian took out his mobile phone. Hearing Shen King say this, he couldn't help but look at her again, and he didn't want to look away. Feeling Zhou Qian's gaze, Shen King swallowed unconsciously. Zhou Qian seemed to smile and came a little closer to her. Shen King leaned back a little. When Zhou Qian approached, he lowered his eyes slightly. At a glance, he saw the faint kiss marks under Zhou Qian's neck, which seemed to be left by herself. Last night, Zhou Qian was so fierce that she subconsciously sank a little. In a trance, the breath of Zhou Qian has been close. Realizing that Zhou Qian had come over, Shen King's heart tightened a little. She tilted her head slightly and dared not look into Zhou Qian's eyes. The atmosphere of Zhou Qian is getting closer and closer. Moreover, Shen King has already felt the warmth of Zhou Qian's palm. Zhou Qian has held her face lightly, and then pulled her face little by little, making the two people look at each other. The breath was entangled together. Shen King looked at Zhou Qian's face nearby, and his heart beat a little faster unconsciously. Shen King didn't dare to look directly at Zhou Qian, but his slightly drooping eyes subconsciously fell on Zhou Qian's lips, and she could see Zhou Qian's lips getting closer and closer until the breath lingered directly on her lips. Shen King knew what would happen next, but it was because he knew that he was more nervous. He was so nervous that he was about to put his nails into the flesh in his palm. Zhou Qian's lips were attached to a warm and soft touch. Shen King squeezed his lips and subconsciously hit a little. When Zhou Qian got close again, she raised her hand to cover his mouth. His mouth was lightly covered, but Zhou Qian's sexy voice still overflowed from his fingers. Zhou Qian looked at her with indulgence and doubt. Don't you ask? Shen King opened his mouth in a low voice, and his tone was very swaying. It seemed that he did not refuse, but just asked casually. Didn't you say to be frank with each other and say whatever you want? Zhou Qian kissed her. Can I kiss you without asking that sentence this time? Can I kiss you? Zhou Qian looked at her with a smile in his eyes. His breath was in Shen King's hand. Obviously, he didn't really ask that sentence.
Qin Zixian raised his head, and Miss Xu didn't say anything. If you don't want to be noisy, just go out by yourself. Qin Yaouz is holding his mobile phone. At this moment, he can hide his desire to kill. Looking at the childish man opposite, he finally chose to take his mobile phone downstairs. Mr. Qin, have you had any conflicts with others? Do you need me to send someone to help you right now? Chapter 44. Mr. Qin, it seems that you have a secret. Jin Yao's put his mobile phone on his ear and said coldly. No, you go on. Oh, that's right. The person on the other end of the phone said, the old man means that he wants you to come back soon, but I also told him that you have something important to deal with now, so it will take at least a month. 3 months. He said lightly. But the old man sighed. Forget it, then I will reply to the old man as Mr. Chin said. No matter what happens, I will help you. If I really can't stand it, I will come to you. The other party's tone sounded obedient, and Chin Yao's face softened a little. Tell him that his thin lips are slightly open, and I will finish what he has arranged for me, but no one can tell me what to do. Got it. Hanging up the phone, Chin Yao's turned around and saw Chin Zixian lying on the railing on the second floor. Mr. Chin, seems that you have a secret. Chin Zixian smiled sly. I don't know if Miss Xu knows the secret. A trace of murder appeared in Chin Yao's eyes. If you give me benefits, of course I won. Report you. After all, Miss Xu just told me today that he is a simple and unscheming man. If Xu Zixing were here, he would swear to God that he had never said such a thing. Chin Zixian cooperated with his own understanding, and already felt that he was Xu Zixing's true love. Chin Yao's didn't say anything, and looked up at the man upstairs quietly. Hey, I just want you not to look at me like that. What's your expression? I don't want your money. Although we are in a competitive relationship now, we can also be good brothers in private, can't we? Chin Zixian's heart was hairy when he saw his eyes, and he immediately took a step back, his face full of disgust. Forget it, I won't joke with you if you can. Afford to play. But Xiaogan, if you continue like this, you won't have any friends in the future, you know. Before he turned around and went back to the bedroom, he said, don't sneak into Miss Su's room while I am not paying attention. Chin Yao's withdrew his gaze and went to the kitchen to pour a glass of water. He was sure that Xu Zixing had already seen it. The appearance of Chin Zixian is definitely not accidental, but why did she keep Chin Zixian by her side? Is it really just because of lust? But it's not like Xu Zixing he knows. Early the next morning, when Persimmon came to the villa, she turned the whole villa up and down like Grandma Leo entering the Grand View Garden. Damn, are you really rich? Did you buy or rent this villa? Who is this? Do you raise a male model with a big butt? No. Chin Yao's has been kicked out by the Chin family. Are you still contacting him? What's the situation now? Are you hard to separate from him? Or did you decide to ting it together like this? If you want to be tied together, I will help you write the manuscript right now. The heat is over. I thought you were joking with him. No, if you want to be with Chin Yao's, what's wrong with this tender man? Shouldn't it be reserved for me? The skin of the warm Persimmon's mouth turned quickly. In the end, she smiled evilly. Xu Zixing is helpless, miss, which of your questions do you want me to answer first? When she thought for a while. Since you are still on vacation, let's talk about you and Chin Yao's about this tender man with a big buttocks. Looking at walking around not far away, and not knowing what he was busy with, when Persimmon's face smiled like a flower. Xu Zixing's words are concise, chef. Seeing that Chin Zixian really walked into the kitchen with the ingredients, when Persimmon waited for his eyes. No way, you let him cook, miss, I know you are very picky, but don't you need to be so violent? When she got up, and Xu Zixing asked her, what are you going to do? I want to ask him if he has any ideas for his debut. If there is, I can help him build a gorgeous star road. Xu Zixing was helpless. That's enough. Why haven't I seen my star journey? When Persimmon smiled. Isn't it gorgeous now? Take a look at the information on the internet to see how popular you are now. Although it is not the first place, it is much higher than Li Feng. She took out her mobile phone, and Wen Qi had already walked towards the kitchen. Sure enough, as Wen Qi said, Xu Zixing's name has now been in the top 5 of the popularity list. The first place is Zhou Weiyang, a popular traffic student, and the second and third places are Xiao Huadan, who has recently become popular. Li Feng ranked 5th in the popularity list, and Xu Zixing was not far from he third place, leaving Li Feng for a long time. She raised her eyebrows and slid down the list. UMN's name has reached more than 30, and she has just reached the list. Xu Jinyao and Gu Huizhu are ranked in the 10th and 8th place respectively. It seems that after this variety show, the popularity of Xu Jinyao and Gu Huizhu has also increased. Although Xu Jinyao still has a lot of curses, she suddenly became famous. I guess she is also very happy now. The popularity of all the guests of the Love variety show has risen so much, and Xu Zixing even soared to the sky. Even Sinning An, a little internet celebrity, is popular with 50 people, and he is more famous than many people at the bottom. Even the variety show has been recorded, and the live broadcast has been closed for 2 or 3 days, but the audience is still not satisfied. The internet is full of videos spontaneously edited by netizens. If it continues to develop like this, it is impossible even if you don't want to be popular. At this time, the hottest discussion on the internet is one thing: when will the special episode shot by Xu Jinyao and Gu Huizhu in Europe come out? Of course, some people are also looking forward to Xu Jiaxing's video in Antarctica. And it's obvious that I am looking forward to the Antarctic video. There are many more netizens. After all, there are so many comments under Xu Jinyao's topic without avatars and a string of random codes, or like robot replies, all like sailors. But it is obvious that the topic of Antarctica is all real people. Xu Jiaxing casually clicked on a topic, and saw Xu Jinyao himself jumping in it. Thank you at me, but I didn't. Follow the group of director Chiu Yuan to shoot in Antarctica. All the opportunities were left to the stars. Although I also want to go to Antarctica to shoot a special series, because of the number of people, Mr. Gu and I gave up the opportunity to go to Antarctica to shoot. If there is a chance, Mr. Gu and I also want to go to Antarctica to shoot a special series. However, please look forward to the special episode we shot in Europe, which is also very good. This is obviously Li Fang's topic. Can Xu Jinyao come here? Chapter 45 Popularity Soaring. Xu Jiaxing now knows why she suddenly became popular. Take a look at her words again. Oh, it seems that someone stole the opportunity for her and Gu Huizhu to go to Antarctica to shoot. It seems that Xu Jinyao is sure that she doesn't want to reply to the voice on the internet questioning how rich she is, so she is so unscrupulous. The corners of Xu Jiaxing's lips evoked an indifferent arc. What she hates most in her life is green tea. So Xu Jiaxing replied under his comment in this Antarctic trip is really interesting. I don't think Jin Yao and Mr. Gu stole the trip to Europe that should have belonged to me, and I may not have had a sudden idea to take everyone to Antarctica to shoot a special series. At the end, she also added a naughty expression. Who doesn't know how to drink tea? At this time, Xu Jinyao was sitting by the computer, looking at the comments that suddenly popped up, and her face changed. Because of Xu Jiaxing's words, the wind direction of the whole discussion area suddenly changed. I just said, I thought I had misremembered. Obviously, the opportunity to travel to Europe should have been Xu Jiaxing's, but later because Xu Jinyao fainted or something, it suddenly became Xu Jinyao's. I also watched the live broadcast that day. Everyone was persuading our star to give up this award. Why did I say? She is so no good at playing games. Why can't she afford to lose? Don't wash the vermicelli, it's about your steaming. Hearing this, it seems that the disgusting person is Xu Jinyao. She really deserved that she didn't go to the south of the city and shoot. I heard that the funds for shooting in Antarctica were also made by Xu Jiaxing himself. Thank you, Sister Xingxing, for taking my family Feng Feng to Antarctica. Xu Jinyao's hand holding the mouse tightened tighter and tighter. She took a deep breath, forced herself to smile, and then replied to the comment questioning her. It is true that Xingxing kindly gave me the award that day, and I also thanked her. I thought everyone knew about it, so I didn't say it. But not saying it doesn't mean that I want to hide this fact. The old fans should know it. I said thank you to Xingxing on the first day of the live broadcast in Europe. Such a good opportunity to go to Europe was given to me. Facing a comment, it doesn't seem to be as good as Xu Jinyao expected. After all, this is Li Fang's territory. Because of Xu Jiaxing's care for Li Feng, Li Fang's fans are now very fond of Xu Jiaxing, so the more Xu Jinyao jumps here, the more annoying she is. Let's take a look at Xu Jiaxing's comments on several fans, who said thank you to him, and every sentence is a good review. Even if she didn't help Li Feng much, she just took him to Antarctica. A little money is not worth saying over and over again. Xu Jinyao completely failed in this discussion group. In the end, she gave up being popular in Li Fang's circle. When she was about to go to Yue Meng's discussion circle, the agent called. As soon as the phone was connected, Liang Hong's voice roared over. Xu Jinyao, what on earth are you doing? I said let you have a good rest at home for 2 days, not for you to go around on the internet. Do you know what you left behind in Li Fang's discussion circle? How much effort do I need to spend to reverse your reputation? Xu Jinyao was already very sad and was forced out by Xu Jiaxing, who suddenly appeared. Now when I receive a phone call, I'm scolded. No one should be able to stand it. So her tears fell down like broken pearls. Sister Han, I am sorry. I just want to get close to the fans in this way, make them feel that I am a person who is easy to get close to, and then accumulate a little more popularity. Miss, what is your identity? Do you need to accumulate people's connection? How many omissions did you make during the live broadcast? Now the company is cleaning up for you. Don't come out and dance, okay? Liang Han was obviously very angry. After taking a few heavy breaths, he said, "From now on, you'd better disconnect the network in your home. Don't read any comments on the internet, and don't post your comments. No matter how angry you are, you can't do it." However, Sister Hong. Xu Jinyao spoke aggrievedly, but before she finished speaking, Liang Hong interrupted her directly. "You may not know. The company's shares have already fallen because of these things. Now you are on holiday, but the company has been wiping your ass. If the boss hadn't had a good relationship with your old man, guess how much liquidated damages you would have. What you earn is not enough to lose." The last sentence is purely angry. Xu Jinyao had to stop talking, so as not to be scolded by Liang Hong again. But when the phone was hung up, her anger rushed straight to Tianling Guy. Even Liang Hong said so about her. Xu Jinyao swept down the things on the table, and smashed the computer screen with a punch. Gu Huizhu, who had just entered the door, heard the noise and ran into the study. "Yao Lao, what's the matter?" Xu Jinyao's eyes flashed and fell to the ground. "Brother Huizhu, you are finally back. Look at what her sister said on the internet." Gu Huizhu helped her up first, and then clicked on the comment section. After such a 10-minute delay, Xu Jiaxing has become the only god in Li Feng's discussion area. The corners of Gu Huizhu's mouth twitched. There were also several comments insulting Xu Jinyao, but they actually cursed themselves. Xu Jinyao also saw it, and began to pretend to be wronged. "Sister, what does this mean? Do you have to see us defeated?" She lowered her head and wiped her tears silently, but her eyes gled at Gu Huizhu from time to time. Gu Huizhu gritted his teeth. Xu Jiaxing definitely did it on purpose. Xu Jinyao bit her lip and nodded, "Didn't he?" Looking at his angry look, Xu Jinyao showed an uncontrollable smile on her face. She has no way to deal with Xu Jiaxing now, but Gu Huizhu can. Gu Huizhu walked to the balcony with his mobile phone. Xu Jinyao followed and saw him call a number without notes. He says, "What you asked me to prepare last time can be done now, but there is no trace of what you have to do, understand?" Xu Jinyao approached him and waited for Gu Huizhu to hang up the phone before asking, "Who is it?" "You better not know about this matter. Even if it happens in the future, it has nothing to do with you." Xu Jinyao's heart was warm. When her cheek pressed against his chest, she said gratefully, "Thank you, Brother Huizhu. I really don't know what to do without you." Gu Huizhu said it was okay, but a look of impatience flashed in his eyes. Chapter 46. This child is too naive. He definitely didn't tell Xu Jinyao because he was afraid that this matter would involve her. Gu Huizhu just didn't want his trump card to be known. Even Xu Jinyao can do it. He looked at the river view not far away, and a cruel smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. "Xu Jiaxing, just wait. I will make you regret going against me. But if you can survive this time, then you can only say that you have the ability and are qualified to be my W. On." Xu Jinyao asked, "Brother Huizhu, what are you laughing at?" Gu Huizhu came back to his senses and coughed lightly. "I was happy when I thought that Xu Jiaxing was about to eat. This is a fake." He wanted to see Xu Jiaxing whisper and beg him to change his mind. What else can a woman have in a heart besides pretending to love and a man? Even Xu Jinyao, a woman who was spoiled by the Xu family, is there only Gu Huizhu in her heart now. With such absolute confidence, Xu Jiaxing will never be able to stand it, and then turn back to find himself. Xu Jiaxing sat on the sofa and sneezed loudly. When Qin Yao's passed by, he put a blanket on her body. When Qi saw it from afar, and his eyes almost fell to the ground. Even if this man was kicked out by the Qin family, no one knows the reason, so the high aura like a prince on his body still exists. Speaking of which, when Qi didn't hate Qin Yao's. She was just worried that Xu Jiaxing was so simple that she would be deceived by this scheming man, who once controlled the lifeline of the Qin group. Now that Qin Yao's has no background and no money, does he have to come to Xu Jiaxing? This silly girl. Looking at Xu Jiaxing looking at Qin Yao's with a smile, when Persimmon felt that she seemed to love Qin Yao's very much. She doesn't think she has picked up a treasure, does she? Thinking of this, warm Persimmon came forward. She coughed softly, "Mr. Qin, if nothing happens, can I be alone with Xing Xing for a while?" Qin Yao's expression is pale. "Haven't you been alone all the time?" When the words fell, he turned around and walked out of the door. Xu Jiaxing squeezed the blanket. He was just a poor man, who was kicked out of the house. Why are you so hostile to him? When Qi glanced at the person who was calling outside the door. Do you really believe that he is such a king-like person, the proud son of Beijing? Will I be willing to be your little sweet? I don't know. Does this have to be confirmed? Xu Jiaxing turned his head and said this sentence, his face was full of doubt. You said that you are too naive, but you still don't believe it. When Qi sighed and shook his head. Anyway, you remember it for me. It's okay to play, but don't give up anything because of the man, understand? She has a baby face. When it comes to teaching, she looks more like a little adult talking. Xu Jiaxing's heart was warm and he also gave her half of the blanket on his body. I know. She pouted. How about it? Does Qin Zixian want to enter the entertainment industry? When Qi squirreled the corners of his mouth when he heard the words. Guess what I found when I added his contact information just now? She took out her mobile phone. Xu Jiaxing looked over and saw the screen of several rich women intentionally or unintentionally showing their luxury goods in the circle of friends. Look at this comment. Sister, are you at the seaside? It's very sunny by the sea, so you should pay attention to sun protection. And this one. It's been cold recently. Linda, don't catch a cold. Xu Jiaxing watched it once. If it hadn't been for the professional training of the performer, she would have almost laughed out loud. Is this Qin Zixian? Come on, they don't even reply to him, okay? It's not that they didn't read the comment section. They reply to almost every comment, but they don't reply to Qin Zixian as if they were promised. What's the reason? The role played by Qin Zixian in front of everyone seems to be different from the character setting. Even the night before he came to Xu Jiaxing's villa, he was still commenting on others. Recently, I watched my sister's new drama. My sister is very beautiful and beats the heroine. When Qi thought for a moment, as if he was organizing the language. Do you remember what I told you before about the young man who fell in love with several people and was caught? As soon as the words fell, Qin Zixian came out of the kitchen. Sister Xing, how about some low-carbon water and low-calorie dishes at noon? You ate home-cooked food all day yesterday. If you eat like this, you will gain weight. Xu Jiaxing couldn't help looking at him with a smile, combined with the messages he had just seen from the comment section. No need. Get something delicious and cook your favorite dish. Today, you can also eat persimmons at home. Qin Zixian said yes and went into the kitchen again. Did you see it? Xu Jiaxing pinched when persimmon's hand. He was just a chef I hired, and cooking was still very appetizing to me. Warm persimmon skin smiles, and meat doesn't smile. You'd better really talk about the dishes he cooked. Although it is still unclear where Xu Jiaxing's money came from, when persimmon knew that this money was not illegally obtained or borrowed, so he would not investigate it. Xu Jiaxing has the ability, and she doesn't need to worry about money. Just talk about when to get the movie queen. However, she doesn't seem to be satisfied with herself standing at the top. Persimmon, I'm going to set up a studio. Oh no, it has to open an entertainment company, the largest, most popular entertainment company in the world. Xu Jiaxing leaned on the sofa and said what he thought. So the people you asked me to look for last time were all under your command. When Persimmon took out his mobile phone. It's basically complete. I thought you wanted to get to know them. I have asked the assistant to arrange a time to meet them for you. When you finish your rest, you can meet them meaningfully. Xu Jiaxing waved his hand. I don't need to see you. I'll leave this matter to you. In the future, you will be the top of the industry that all agents can't reach. The ideal is very full. When Qi showed a longing smile on her face, but she didn't really believe what Xu Jiaxing said. After all, money is not omnipotent. If Xu Jiaxing had thought until now, she would have said that money is not omnipotent, because there is not enough money. For the next week, Xu Jiaxing didn't go anywhere. He stayed at home all day long, and occasionally went to the swimming pool with Qin Yao's. Qin Zixian didn't want to, so he wanted to be with them no matter what he said, and challenged Qin Yao's. Don't think about it, Qin Zixian's muscles are still not as strong as Qin Yao's is. Xu Jiaxing wore sunglasses and sat on the lounge chair by the pool. Xiao Qin, you can do this. You have to practice harder. Qin Zixian lost. His face was blushing with shame, and he looked at Qin Yao's very unconvinced. Chapter 47 It's not an accident. After that, he will no longer talk to Qin Yao's all the time, but it will still destroy the time Qin Yao's and Xu Jiaxing alone. Monday. Xu Jiaxing introduced a new person. Zhao Shan, male, 22 years old, is a fresh college student, who has just graduated from the sports school. Like Qin Yao's indifference and stability, it is also different from Qin Zixian's escape and talkativeness. Zhao Shan always looks shy when he greets everyone. He looks white and pure, which is the type that girls like. Qin Zixian saw him and stared wide-eyed. Miss Xu, what did he do? I feel jealous in my heart. First of all, Qin Zixian lost. Qin Yao stood beside Xu Jiaxing with his hands in his pockets. Driver. Ace, you are so smart. Xu Jiaxing put on his sunglasses and smiled. Take care of yourself at home. Xiao Zhao will be the full-time driver of the family in the future. Don't bully him, because he is young, understand? Qin Yao glanced faintly and sent Xu Jiaxing into the car. Qin Zixian gritted his teeth behind and said, No, I can also drive. I can do 2 jobs for Miss Xu, only 1 salary, how about it? Just cook well at home and study more tricks, lest I feel bored and have to hire a new chef. Zhao Shan got into the car and started the car when he heard Xu Jiaxing's words, but he never said a word. Seeing the car drive far away, Qin Yao's turned around and went back to the villa. Seeing that he was so calm, Qin Zixian asked, "Why aren't you in a hurry? That's a young boy. Who would have thought that he would seduce Miss Xu? And the driver has stayed with Miss Xu longer than we have been together." Qin Yao's felt that he was noisy and frowned. "If you are too idle, go and help weed the lawn." Qin Zixian is not willing to accept it. "Brother Za, are you really not in a hurry? Originally, I thought that Miss Xu had taken a step back to share with you, and now there is another one." He finally stopped, and turned to Qin Zixian. "Don't you really think that Jiaxing will have something to do with you?" Qin Yao's voice was cold, and Qin Zixian trembled. "What do you mean by that? If Miss Xu doesn't mean anything to me, why should she leave me here?" He snorted coldly and became deaf. "Didn't you hear what she said just now? She just likes to eat the food you cook." Qin Zixian doesn't believe it. "You are just jealous, right? You won't get angry with me when you get angry with Zhao Shan, will you?" Qin Yao's raised his eyelids lightly. If he couldn't understand people's words, he suggested that you resign, otherwise you will always know how stupid you are when you stay here. After saying that, Qin Yao's walked into the room. Qin Zixian was so angry that his teeth were itchy. Hey, why do you help Miss Xu make a decision? I was hired by Miss Xu, not you. Even if you are Miss Sa's favorite now, it doesn't mean that you will always be her in the future. Qin Yao's doesn't understand why there are such stupid people in the world. The existence of Qin Zixian. As if when Nuwa made a human, some people really threw it out with mud. Maybe he doesn't look good, or he may be like Qin Zixian, who is only tall and not brainy. Whether it is Qin Zixian or Zhao Shan, Qin Yao's doesn't care about it. He knew that it was no accident that these two appeared in front of Xu Jiaxing. The car was parked in front of an office building. Zhao Shan opened the door for Xu Jiaxing. "Sister Jiaxing, be careful." Xu Jiaxing hooked his lips and smiled. "You are too conscientious. Us as a driver." Zhao Shan changed his shyness just now, and smiled. Shouldn't he be more serious about doing things for Miss Xu? Xu Jiaxing took out a bank card from his bag. "In the future, your tips will be on this card. If you don't have enough money, you can ask me for it, but you should remember that I don't need disloyal people around me." Although Zhao Shan is young, she knows the meaning of what she said. "Miss Xu, don't worry. If you hadn't helped me, my brother might have died. What? More, the price you gave me is high, and the work is leisurely, which is much better than the work of my classmates, and the salary is much higher than theirs. Thank you for believing in my ability." Of course, Xu Jiaxing won. Say anything. He mainly likes his face. She smiled and said nothing, turned around and walked towards the office building. In the whole villa, in addition to Zhao's mother, who is very experienced and equivalent to the housekeeper, there is also Uncle Wang, the gardener. The rest of the nannies and gardeners are young but unlearned girls. The only requirement for Xu Jiaxing to choose a resident servant is a girl, who has no value in the market. Not only did she help these girls, but the whole villa looked pleasing to the eye. As for the ability, take your time. If you can learn the skills slowly, keep them, and if you can't, just dismiss them directly. It's up to them to choose whether to stay. And these men and boys are all up to Xu Jiaxing's mood. I have a little money, and I still don't allow me to raise a few beautiful little white faces around me. Besides, except for Qin Yao's, Qin Zixian and Zhao Shan all have skills worthy of Xu Jiaxing's skills. Qin Yao's. She entered the elevator and remembered the man's cold expression. "You have to have a vase to fill your facade, don't you?" The elevator stopped on the 16th floor. Xu Jiaxing restrained the smile on his cheek and walked in. Her personal studio has been established. When Persimmon has a strong working ability, but in just a few days, the whole studio has been made in a good way. When the assistant Lucy saw Xu Jiaxing, he came forward and hugged her. "Sister Xing, you are really awesome." Some time ago, Lucy was hospitalized because of her poor health, so she didn't follow her to record. But Lucy didn't miss the response and live broadcast of the program at all. Now the popularity of love variety shows is very high, and Xu Jiaxing's popularity has naturally been on the list. Xu Jiaxing smiled. "Is your health better?" Lucy was slightly stunned. "Sister Xing, what's wrong with you? It doesn't look like your style." When Persimmon came over from the side, "Don, mention it. Since a multi-million-dollar antique was photographed at the auction, your sister Xing has changed. What has become?" "Rich woman," when Persimmon smiled and said, "Won't you hold the rich woman's thighs quickly?" Lucy hugged Xu Jiaxing tighter. Sister Xing, change our old second-hand nanny car. It has been changed long ago. Xu Jiaxing let go of her. But you can ask for something else, just take it as a gift for you to start work today. No. This gift is also too casual. Lucy's eyes are wide open, but I have been working for several days. Then start work for a few days, and give gifts for a few days. After Xu Jiaxing finished speaking, he looked at the other employees in the studio with a curious face. Chapter 48. She should all be under her command. Everyone has it. The whole office cheered. Xu Jiaxing's own studio is not very big, occupying 3 floors of the whole building. She is going to develop the rest of the floors into entertainment companies. In the office, when Qi listened to her vision and was helpless. Sister, this building has 29 floors, and there are 25 floors in addition to the first floor. How much does it cost to recruit so many artists? Then 1 person on the first floor, or 2 people at a time, whether it is an agent or an assistant team, it will be distributed per person. If we want to do it, let's make it bigger. Xu Jiaxing doesn't care much. She looked down from the office and said twice that the view here was really good. What do you think? When Qi gave Xu Jiaxing his previously sorted out resume. This is the last lot in Beijing. When did you get this building? And they are all well decorated, and top-notch materials are used everywhere. There is no one in the group next to us. Xing, you are really silent and doing great things. Xu Jiaxing smiled, let's work hard together. Originally, it was not a big deal for stars to set up their own work, but Xu Jiaxing rushed to the top of the hot search. The 18-line actress, who used to be black on the internet, has now fought a beautiful turnaround. He is beautiful, rich and vicious. This character is liked. Even Xu Jiaxing's fan support association has been established long ago. Now under various topics, all the fans of the support association are commenting. This battle is so big that it seems to be the top. Why is it not considered to be the top? When Persimmon showed her all kinds of data analysis, and her face turned into a flower with a smile. Who dares to say that you are not good? I am in a hurry. Xu Jiaxing laughed out loud when he heard the words. By the way, I remember that the special series of the Love Variety Show will be released tomorrow. When Persimmon nodded, but because the program team wanted to support Xu Jinyao, the original director decided to release the video of Xu Jinyao and Gu Huizhu first. This may not be a good thing for you. Do you want to use your ability to send your videos first? Forget it, she doesn't care much. Anyway, it's all about to be sent, so let's follow this. Now the most important thing for us is to talk about what to do next. It has become popular. The entertainment company wants to run it, and Xu Jiaxing's star journey also needs to continue. I picked up a few scripts. Would you like to have a look? They are all heroines. When Persimmon found the file from the tablet for her. Xu Jiaxing glanced at it, and found that none of them would be popular in the book. I don't want it. Did you help me connect the director and the script of the work I told you about last time? I want to buy all of them. She sat back on the sofa and said lazily. All of them. The corners of when Persimmon's mouth twitched. Each book is written very well. Don't you know them? It's not something you can buy with money. Xu Jiaxing smiled. That's because the money was not in place. Feel free to talk about it. Even if the price is hundreds of millions, you don't have to blink. When Persimmon hesitated and said, are you sure you can get back your capital? I don't need to return the capital. The smile on her face revealed the smell of money. When Kiss' worried face also showed a smile. What should I do? I love your way of not treating money as money. When Lucy came, Xu Jiaxing was recalling all the promising people in this book. She will all be included in her command. Sister Xing, there is a charity banquet tonight, and the invitation letter has just been sent out now. Do you want to go? Xu Jiaxing asked, what kind of charity banquet? Is it an auction or a donation? I heard that auctions are all antiques, and I don't know anything about these things. Lucy found the information and showed it to Xu Jiaxing. She glanced and went. Many people go to the auction charity banquet, most of whom are first-class business circles and top-class people in the entertainment industry. In a word, if Xu Jiaxing goes today, he should be able to meet many bigwigs. She needs to open her network. Although money can handle it, she needs to at least show her face. Lucy found out the email. A male companion is also needed for the banquet. Do you need to choose a response from these entrepreneurs or stars who throw olive branches? There are at least 20 invitation letters in the email. Xu Jiaxing didn't even look at it. No, I have a boyfriend. She is sure that Qin Yao's is definitely the best among men, which is enough to make a face. Do you want to turn these all out? Lucy was a little embarrassed. Can't you say no? She looked up. What's the problem? Among them, there are bigwigs in the business and financial circles, who are people that many stars and artists can't meet. And if you don't agree, it's not very good to see these people today. Xu Jiaxing said lightly, it's okay. Lucy was stunned and felt that Sister Xing's confident appearance was indeed different from before. But, I mean, if those people are unhappy, there may be unnecessary troubles. In order to eliminate such things, I think we should choose Mr. Du. His conditions are the best among these people, so no one will say anything when he is seen at the scene. Lucy gave a good advice, but Xu Jiaxing didn't listen. Don't worry about these. No one can do anything to me. Lucy, remember that you have to be so careful when you follow me in the future, do you understand? When he said these words, Xu Jiaxing looked straight at Lucy. Lucy sighed in her heart that after her popularity exploded, Sister Xing really became different. No wonder it is said that having money can make people confident. She nodded. Okay, I got it. Jin Yao's was informed too. Prepare, and Xu Jiaxing personally went to the dress hall to choose a dress for him at night. Lav Dress Salon is the highest-end dress salon in the whole city of Beijing and even the whole country. This is an Italian brand. All kinds of dresses in it have been created by Design RS, and each one is unique in the world. Even the size. You can only give up the dress that doesn't fit in size and choose another one. But most dresses can only be worn by people with perfect figures, so even if you have money to afford the dresses here, you may not be able to wear them. Xu Jiaxing walked into the store. Before he raised his eyes, 2 or 3 clerks were on the side. Miss Xu, are you here to buy a dress? We have a dress that suits you very well. I'll take you to have a look. You have a great figure. You must be able to wear all the dresses in our house. There are not only design models, but also high design and private-made models, but private-made models take some time to design and produce. Several people were chirping around her, which was completely different from the last time she walked into the luxury spot. After all, Xu Jiaxing's reputation has already been made. She opened her mouth slowly, and I chose the men's style. Chapter 49. She must be crazy. There are also men's models. The men's models are on the 2nd floor, and the women's models are on the 3rd floor. If you are not in a hurry, you can come down from the 3rd floor. Xu Jiaxing finally chose a clerk who couldn't talk well and asked her to take her to the 2nd floor. What? I was about to say it, but she actually chose Lily. It's okay, but she suddenly became popular and was taken care of again, so she had some money. Just think of it as a small list for Lily. Don't say such words. Those who come here are all guests. Talking like this will make guests unhappy. Will anyone come here to spend money in the future? The 3 clerks gathered together with different expressions. 2 of them looked at Xu Jiaxing's back, which was very contemptuous. The other one looks almost as honest as Lily, but is more experienced than Lily. Looking at the figure of Xu Jiaxing and Lily entering the elevator, there is only envy in her eyes. Their voices were not small. Lily heard it and turned her head to look at the young and beautiful woman with a calm face beside her. Xu Jiaxing must have heard it. Lily pursed her lips and said after entering the elevator, Miss Xu, just now. I heard it. She looked indifferent. Lily quickly explained to her colleagues that they just like to talk like this, but there is absolutely no malice. No malice. Xu Jiaxing looked at her and smiled. Do you think they are not malicious? Lily's cheeks were red, but I shouldn't speak ill of them. The facts expressed are not good, but they are not bad words. Xu Jiaxing's face has not changed from beginning to end. Lily looked up, and her eyes gradually became firm. Their mouths were really bad. They always liked to choreograph ladies to order dresses, but they never said those rich men. Obviously, more men are also taken care of, and women spend more money in our store. Except for Sister Xiaotao, she will never participate in their face-to-face and behind-the-scenes, and will even prevent them from saying these words, so she will be excluded by them. There is no chance to be promoted to the position of store manager. Time. She is a newcomer and was originally full of enthusiasm for her work. After all, the salary of working here is very high, and you can see so many beautiful clothes, and get to know beautiful and handsome celebrities. But because of some people, Lily even felt a little painful to stay here. Xu Jiaxing hooked the corners of his lips. He was just a spiritual man. He framed himself into the world of men, thinking that as long as he pleased the man, he could live well. But on the other hand, they also want to make money from the people they despise. Lily exhaled a breath of turbid gas, and the elevator happened to reach the 2nd floor. Miss Xu, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said these things. Let me take you to choose clothes. Xu Jiaxing looked at the young girl and shook her head. It's okay. I have a way to make them shut up. Because of the charity banquet tonight, there are several people who come here to choose clothes. Everyone who chooses a dress is followed by a very professional shopping guide. Lily introduced Xu Jiaxing to new products and various NER models, but she was not very satisfied. A man like Qin Yao's is neither handsome nor a strong man. His eyes always seemed to be staring at all sentient beings, his expression was cold as if it had nothing to do with the world, and his reserved behavior was more like a king. If Xu Jiaxing had to comment on Qin Yao's, she might describe him as the style of a king. Qin Yao's is such a person. Just one look can make people very afraid. He can easily deter others without talking or acting. Xu Jiaxing thought for a moment and looked at a suit in the glass cabinet. I want to see this. She pointed to the glass cabinet and felt the eyes cast from around her. Is that Master Levin's work? I heard that the price is millions. Who is this person? I don't know if this work can only be bought and can't be seen. It seems to be the little star, who has been very popular recently. What's the name of Antarctic star? The sound of whispering is not small. Xu Jiaxing knew that most of these people intended to let themselves hear it. Her eyes faintly swept over those eyes and heard Lily talking beside her. Miss Xu, this is the work of Italian royal designer Deli Levin. The inspiration of the Wa. Arche is the ancient European knights, but in fact, the theme of this work is power. Lily didn't feel anything wrong with her words and seriously introduced this dress to her. The material is silk imported from Italy. The reason why it is placed in a vacuum environment is that this one is equivalent to a disposable dress. As long as it is stained with dust and emptiness, moisture in the air will make the material soft, no longer so straight, and it is impossible to restore to such a layout. Xu Jiaxing thinks it's very interesting. Isn't this Cinderella's dress? Lily found her description more interesting. You can understand that its timeliness is only 8 hours. After 8 hours, the layout of the dress begins to deform, but you don't have to worry. After the deformation, it can still be worn. It doesn't become ugly, but it just becomes an ordinary version. She raised her eyebrows. Qin Yao's, who was kicked out, well, is a good match. Xu Jiaxing said, at 6 p.m., help me send him to Xu's house, Area A, Guanlanshan Villa area. Lily was slightly stunned, and kindly reminded Miss Xu that this one is not allowed to be touched by opening the cabinet, and once the order is placed, it cannot be returned. Why don't you ask that gentleman to measure the size first? The price of this model is 6.85 million yuan, and the tax is 15%. The price of clothes is so high that I need to pay taxes. Xu Jiaxing didn't blink his eyes. No. Is she crazy? Spend 6 million to buy a disposable dress. A graceful and rich middle-aged woman was very surprised. Her shopping guide said, it's not disposable clothes. It's just that this kind of high-grade silk is not easy to care for. If it is not properly cared for, it is indeed easy to become waste. And even if you can afford this material, you may not be able to take care of it. Professional nurses need more than 100,000 yuan for nursing at a time, and they also need to buy insurance, for fear of hurting the material of the clothes. Although the shopping guide was explaining to his guests, what he said seemed to be aimed at Xu Jiaxing intentionally or unintentionally. There is a shallow contempt and disdain in the Wa. RDS. Xu Jiaxing signed the order under Lily's shocked eyes. The women around who accompanied the men to buy clothes were even more shocked. Those men with big bellies or the appearance of the second generation may not know much about these things, but almost all women do. Not to mention the price, it's hard to find men with golden figures who can wear this dress in the world, right? Chapter 51 Height covers 100 ugliness. After all, this dress has not been questioned. Rich people are never short of money, but they will lack such a perfect figure. The height requirement for people who can wear this dress is, not to mention the body size, 8-pack. Abs are indispensable for 1.88 meters. A man with such a figure, let alone an average-looking man, will attract a lot of attention just by standing there. Men, one height covers 100 ugliness. Moreover, the slightly reflective suit is very picky about people's skin. Since this Antarctic star can choose this suit, it means that she also thinks that folding clothes are suitable for that man. So what would a man with a healthy complexion, not as dark as wheat, 1.88 meters tall, and a very good figure would be like? For a moment, I didn't know whether the woman who looked at me was envious or jealous. Xu Jiaxing ignored Evrion's eyes and asked Lily, is there a similar women's dress on the 3rd floor? Lily was still excited about this order. Her commission has surpassed the best performance of the rest of her predecessors just because of this order. Lily's eyes were red, and she nodded excitedly and even became a little incoherent. Yes, but it was not paired with this. If Miss Xu needs it, I can recommend it to you. You have a good figure, your skin is white and shiny, and your appearance is even more beautiful. You look go. And in everything you wear. This is not a fake. Lily's colleagues' eyes are redder than her, just because of shock or jealousy or envy. Especially the one who mocked Xu Jiaxing in the open and secretly just now. Looking at the equipment in his hand, it showed that Xu Jiaxing had indeed paid, and the 10% of the draw was given to Lily, and he almost street didn't collapse. If you still buy this, Lily will sell the crown this month, and the bonus is 20,000 yuan. Several people can't wait to leave their rich customers, like Xu Jiaxing, and become Xu Jiaxing's shopping guide. Lily, what did you call me just now? Xiao Tao also called up. You two help me choose, so that the action would be faster. After Xu Jiaxing finished speaking, he went to the third floor and didn't even look at the guests and shopping guides with different expressions. Lily called Xiao Tao up with trembling hands. The two chose several sets of dresses for Xu Jiaxing with a very professional attitude. It's too late to make a private order now, but these designer brand dresses add up to more than 1 million yuan. When checking out, Xu Jiaxing frowned slightly and looked at the dress packed very rigorously. Xiao Tao asked, "Does Miss Xu need anything else?" Xu Jiaxing nodded. "There are still some jewelry missing. Is there only the design model here? Are there any jewelry and gold ornaments? It should be expensive and unique. I don't like to wear the same things as others." As soon as the words fell, a shopping guide with a strong perfume came over and said to Xiao Tao miserably, "Sister Xiao Tao, I haven't opened a business this month, and jewelry is my specialty. Let me introduce it to Miss Xu. In this way, Miss Xu will know more about the jewelry design of our brand." Xu Jiaxing had no impression of the shopping guide's face, but as soon as she approached, she was familiar with the pungent smell of perfume. Isn't it one of the clerks who just got together and said bad things about himself? Xiao Tao pursed her lips. "Amy, Miss Xu is Lily's guest. You know, I'm just a deputy shopping guide and can be the master." Amy went to ask Lily again, right under Xu Jiaxing's eyes. Lily's ears were soft, and it was a pity that she hadn't issued an order this month, so she looked at Xu Jiaxing carefully. "Miss Xu, can one more shopping guide be by your side? I am still learning about jewelry." Xu Jiaxing said indifferently, "I only need 2 people. If you want her to be my shopping guide, then you and Xiao Tao Don follow me." Amy was happy. The first level shopping guide is 10%, the second level is 5%, and the third level is 1%. If Lily stows, she can smoke 10% by herself. Jewelry is at least 6 digits. Amy knew Lily's character, so she said a few more good words. Lily bit her lip and hesitated. Xu Jiaxing said lightly, "If you don't want to, just say no. If you hesitate so much, give the money to others to earn. Anyway, others will not appreciate you. Should I bully you, or bully you as usual?" She signed the bill and walked towards the elevator again. The jewelry area is on the 4th floor. Xiao Tao pushed Lily and said to Amy, "Amy, don't embarrass Lily or I'll give you my seat." Amy is unhappy. Lily has only been here for 2 months and is not familiar with jewelry. What if she offends the guests? Miss Xu is a very nice person and will be considerate. You also said that Lily is a newcomer. I didn't say anything about you robbed me of so many orders before. Don't bully her this time. Xiao Tao said it sincerely, but Amy looked unhappy, okay? She was going to exchange shopping guide information with Xiao Tao at the equipment dealer, but Lily held Xiao Tao's hand and said, "Sister Xiao Tao, come with me to serve Miss Xu." Xiao Tao was slightly stunned, and frowned at Amy. The meaning in her eyes was not too obvious. If you don't agree, Amy will put on Lily and her shoes. Amy has a good relationship with the area manager. Amy's jewelry is indeed more professional than mine, Lily said firmly, but Sister Tao is also very experienced. If I don't know, you must help me well for a while. Let's go. Don't keep Miss Xu waiting for a long time. She looked at Amy. I'm sorry, Sister Amy. This is my chance. I don't want to give it to others. After saying that, Lily pulled Xiao Tao and ran towards Xu Jiaxing. Amy was so angry that her face was crooked. The duck in her hand flew away like this, and she stamped her feet angrily. The clerk beside him came over and asked, "What's the matter?" Lily doesn't want to. Yeah, I really don't know what's wrong with this bitch. Haven't seen money. It's really insightless. Amy stared at Lily's back fiercely and glanced at her. Xu Jiaxing didn't know how they discussed. However, when I saw that it was Lily and Xiao Tao who followed, I decided to buy more to improve their performance. When she got on the elevator, she asked, "Are there any rigid indicators for selecting the store manager?" Lily said, "The old store manager went to the new store to bring newcomers." The district manager said that the average monthly performance of running for the store manager is more than 200,000 yuan, and the voting results are based on performance and customer evaluations. 200,000. Isn't it easy to achieve in this store? The cheapest dress is 50,000 yuan, and 4 pieces can be sold. In Beijing, are you still worried that there is no party to wear a dress? Xiao Tao said, there are many monks and few porridge, and some shopping guides have regular customers, so sometimes some employees' performance can be sold. Lily was indignant. Sister Tao was angry for a month, but her list was stolen, and the store manager also criticized Sister Tao. But who knows that Amy's face-to-face and backpack shopping guides are more popular. In order to sell the dress, it is also at all costs, and if it is not suitable, it will also be said that it is appropriate. Chapter 51 Millions, not much, Xu Jiaxing said oh. When the elevator arrived at the floor, Xiao Tao and Lily began to cooperate with each other to introduce. Xu Jiaxing. Love. Gemstones and diamonds are all collected from Africa, and the purity of gold is close to the EU standard. It can be said that there is no one in the world with higher purity than Lav gold jewelry. Xu Jiaxing has known these things for a long time. Because there is no brand comparable to Lav jewelry, the price is very high. There are very few people on this floor. Xu Jiaxing liked a lot of things, and soon the boxes of Xiao Tao and Lily were filled with all kinds of tightly packaged jewelry. The two looked at each other and could see the surprise and joy in each other's eyes. There is something special on each floor. It's hard to say whether it's the most expensive or not. Anyway, it's the most sought after. Xu Jiaxing fell in love with a golden cufflink in the glass display cabinet of jewelry. Xiao Tao said, this cufflink is... Before I finished speaking, an exclamation came from behind. Brother Huizhu, look, this cufflink is really unique. The cufflinks were designed by the Queen of England himself. I heard that this is a pattern painted by a soldier she saw on the battlefield when she was young. Not all of them are the same, but the old queen drew it with her memory, and the cufflinks were coordinated by designer Simon Owen. Xu Jinyao was surprised. Does this cufflink represent war and peace? Amy smiled and shook her head. Of course not, and the opposite is true. This is the love story of Queen Mary. They met in the war, but they were separated because of the war. This cufflink represents pure and eternal love. Xu Jinyao held Gu Huizhu's arm, with envy in her eyes. It was so romantic. This cufflink must symbolize the most chaste love. Because Queen Mary has never been married, the throne will be inherited by her sister's daughter in the future. I have to say that Amy's ability is really good, but his character is a little worse. Xu Jiaxing also heard the introduction. It is indeed romantic, but what is more precious, is that this is the love story of the queen. Xiao Tao said awkwardly, Miss Xu, this is the most widely spread story of this cuffle. Ink. Its material is pure gold, but the appearance is sprayed with diluted gold, so it doesn't have such a golden and cheesy feeling. Like the power dress you bought, it needs very exquisite maintenance. Xu Jiaxing nodded, Bao Xia. Younger sister. Xu Jinyao heard her voice and looked at her. She was very surprised. Why are you here? Do you want to buy something? Lav's products are really good. Brother Huizhu bought me a necklace here, which costs only 200,000 yuan. It's really cheap. 200,000 is indeed not much for Xu Jinyao, who has Xu's group behind it. Gu Huizhu can also take it out with gritting his teeth. But just buying a necklace is a very luxurious thing for them, no matter who they are. Especially Gu Huizhu. Who knows what he is thinking? Xu Jiaxing didn't hear it, so he still paid by card. The two large value cards had reached the limit, and she found another bank card. Seeing that she ignored him, Xu Jinyao was so angry that she clenched her hands into fists, but her face looked injured. Amy felt embarrassed, but as soon as she saw that Xu Jiaxing had bought another big order, her jealousy almost burst out. Brother Huizhu, I like this button very much. Shall I buy it as a birthday present for you? Xu Jinyao shook Gu Huizhu's arm and opened her mouth coquettishly. And Xu Jiaxing is ready to enter the password to the card. Amy was happy when she heard the sound and immediately stopped Lily. Wait a minute, she pushed Lily and Xiao Tao away. Sorry, my customer fell in love with this cufflink first. Xu Jiaxing frowned. She was very unhappy because she was delayed by swiping her card to spend money. After refusing Amy to take a single thing just now, Lily has a little more courage and determination when facing her. I brought Miss Xu here first. When Miss Xu asked about this cuffle, you guessed that she had just come out of the elevator. She didn't give in. Amy said unhappily, if you say this, whoever sees it is the one who wants to buy it first. Then it's the introduction I just said first. Is this order still mine after she paid? Strong words to reason. Lily blushed with anger, but she couldn't find words to refute her. Xu Jiaxing is unhappy. She just wanted to buy Qin Yao's a dress for the banquet, and then she had the idea of helping Lily. I really bought some things I like. I only spent a few million, not much. But now that someone came to find fault, she couldn't help but sink. Xu Jinyao was naturally happy when someone spoke to support her. She hooked the corners of her lips and asked Gu Huizhu, "Does Hui's house brother like this cufflink?" Gu Huizhu nodded and said it was okay. He stood on the outside and didn't see what the cufflink looked like, but when he saw Xu Jiaxing's ugly face, Gu Huizhu naturally wanted to arch a fire. Moreover, in order to win Xu Jinyao's heart and Zha's family's different views on him, he spent a lot of money to buy Xu Jinyao a necklace worth 200,000 yuan. She always wants to return it. Xu Jiaxing looked at Xu Jinyao. "Are you sure you want to buy it?" Xu Jinyao nodded, "Of course. But if my sister likes it." Before she finished speaking, Xu Jiaxing said, "You're not kidding, are you?" When Amy heard the words, she looked at Xu Jinyao with expectation. Several noble women who walked to this floor also took a look. She has been raised high. Xu Jinyao is not the kind of casual person. She can't embarrass people, especially in front of Xu Jiaxing. It's just a cufflink. How much does it cost? The most expensive cufflinks in Lav's whole career are only more than 100,000 yuan. She can't afford it. How could it be? Xu Jinyao smiled gently. Since brother Huizhu also likes it, how can I joke? Besides, if it were an tea for my real fave, how could I grab it from you? But if you like it more than me, I can also endure the pain to cut off love. Here we go again. Xu Jiaxing stared at her gradually aggrieved expression, with a slight smile on the corners of his mouth. She asked Lily, "Didn't you just say that you need to sign an agreement to buy this cufflink? Just send it back to the headquarters, and then show Queen Mary which predestined person got this cufflink." Lily nodded, "Yes. The electronic agreement you just planned to pay before signing, in fact, it doesn't matter." Xu Jiaxing looked at Xu Jinyao. In order to show his sincerity, do you have to sign the agreement first? What if you see the price running order? Xu Jinyao thought that she was deliberately humiliating herself and snorted coldly. "Don. Think that you are the only rich one in the world." Chapter 52. Apologize to me. Sus Group has so much money, isn't it as good as you, a buying bitch? She didn't say anything. She directly took the pen and signed the name on Amy's tablet device. I also swiped my card. Xu Jinyao took out a card from her bag and gave it to Amy, and Amy's face was full of smiles. She glanced at Lily and Xiaotao, looking provocative. Xu Jiaxing always looked at Xu Jinyao with a faint smile, but asked Lily, "How much did it cost?" "I just asked. Miss Xu, the market price of this cufflink is 1.88 million yuan, but because you have spent 8,968,000 yuan in our store and are an international star member of LAV, you will get a 10% discount. The price is..." Lily seriously said the price after the discount, but Xu Jiaxing doesn't mind. She stared at Xu Jinyao's face, that turned vegetable colored. "How about it, Sister Yao Yao, you can't afford so much money, can you?" Xu Jiaxing raised his eyebrows slightly and called, "Sister Yao Yao," very sweetly. Amy was stunned when she heard the words, and her eyes fell on Xu Jinyao. Xu Jinyao stepped back half a step. She looked up at Gu Huizhu and held back her tears. "Brother Huizhu, this cufflink. It's too expensive. Xu Jinyao can't afford it at all. Not to mention her, even if the chairman of Zha's Group came, she would not spend nearly 2 million to buy a small cufflink as a gift from Gu Huizhu. Gu Huizhu is still interested. After all, if he doesn't stand on Xu Jinyao's side now, there is no way to hold the thigh of Zha's Group." He shook his head. "It's too expensive, Yao Yao. This thing is also very expensive. Forget it." Xu Jinyao was relieved when she heard this. If it hadn't been for Gu Huizhu's words, she would really be scared to tears. Xu Jinyao forced a smile at Xu Jiaxing. "In this case, let's give you this cufflink." Xu Jiaxing shrugged his shoulders. "I didn't want to give this to you, but now you need to pay the liquidated damages. Follow your shopping guide to pay." Her face, which finally regained her smile, suddenly changed color. "What kind of liquidated damages?" Amy's heart has been ups and downs several times. Finally, when she heard Xu Jinyao say no, she couldn't wait to drop the tablet. But she can't do this. Xu Jinyao's poverty appeared, and Amy couldn't even pretend to her. "Miss Xu, that's right. You just signed a purchase agreement, which stipulates that if you repent, you need to pay 10% of the liquidated damages. 188,000. Xu Jinyao quickly took the tablet and carefully read the above one about the liquidated damages. She asked for 180,000 yuan, but she didn't get anything. "It's impossible." Xu Jinyao shook her head. "I don't want to buy it. Do I need to pay liquidated damages?" Amy's face is already ugly. "Yes, because you have signed this purchase agreement. When you sign it, it means that you have the intention to buy it." The contract is here, and Xu Jinyao can T think of anything to refute. She suddenly fell into Gu Hui's house arms. Brother Huizu, I didn't know that if I didn't buy it, I would pay liquidated damages. Xu Jiaxing smiled sarcastically. Then you can buy it. It's only 1.88 million. Xu Jinyao looked sideways and stared at her resentfully from an angle that others could not see. It's you. It was you who deliberately seduced me to sign this agreement. You are in the same group with this store. Gu Huizu looked cold. Xu Jinyao's attitude is obviously that she doesn't want to spend the 188,000 yuan for nothing, so he has to give the money. He suddenly looked at Xu Jiaxing coldly, so he called the police. Xu Jiaxing raised his eyebrows. Before he could speak, Xu Jinyao nodded, yes. Call the police. Just now, you deliberately guided me to sign the contract, and you didn't mention the liquidated damages at all. When she heard the words, she laughed out loud. She has never seen a fool like you. Then call the police. Moyu can wait until the lawsuit is over. What I hate most is that others throw dirty water on me. Xu Jinyao felt that she was bluffing and attached to Gu Huizu's words. The police will distinguish between right and wrong in this matter. Xu Jiaxing ignored it, signed the purchase contract, and then paid on the spot. Xu Jinyao and Gu Hui's house arms turned pale when she saw it. How can she have so much money? The more than 7 million, just said, and now it's more than 1 million, adding up to almost 10 million, right? The 10 million project is a medium-sized and large-scale project in Jiang's group, but how much does the company draw? Xu Jiaxing actually bloomed without blinking his eyes like this. Congratulations on your successful face slap. Open one treasure chest. You have obtained the electric eye camera tool, and the time limit is 30 minutes. Force value +5. Xu Jinyao stared at Xu Jiaxing in shock, and after swiping the card, Xu Jiaxing said, by the way, I also want the things I just chose. This should equalize the hard conditions for you to run for the store manager, right? Xiao Tao heard that she was helping herself. She was very grateful, but she didn't forget to worry about her. Miss Xu, I'll accompany you to the police station. Xu Jiaxing swiped the card again, no need. However, I suggest that you go to the monitoring room now and download all the surveillance videos of our conversation just now, lest someone mess with you. Lily nodded. I am going to download it now. Gu Huizu snorted coldly. You dare to mention the surveillance. Your guidance itself is a crime. Xu Jiaxing didn't even look at her, but said to Amy, give you another chance and apologize to me. Amy was stunned and knew that she must have heard him speak ill of her. But with so many people watching, how could she apologize for this matter? Isn't that showing everyone that you treat customers one thing in front of you and one thing behind the scenes? What's more, Amy still looks down on Xu Jiaxing. She said hard, why should I apologize? Although you are a customer, it does not mean that your unreasonable demand, that we have to meet everything. Xu Jiaxing glanced at her faintly and left directly. Xiao Tao took her to the VIP lounge. The noblewomen were originally amazed that Xu Jiaxing bought a very expensive men's dress, but now they have slapped Xu Jinyao in the face. They stood not far away, and pointed at her in a low voice. Xu Jiaxing became popular, and they all knew it. Not to mention Xu Jinyao. There is also a layer of the identity of Miss Sa's group, and this is the result. Xu Jinyao could have been able to assume that she didn't hear, but when she passed by them, they still didn't restrain themselves. She couldn't help clenching her hands. Gu Huizu noticed her abnormality and took her hand. Don't argue with others at this time. Listening to the low voice in her ear, Xu Jinyao nodded aggrievedly. Chapter 53 Xu Jiaxing just wants to kill me. Is that Xu Dong's daughter? I also know the man around me. My daughter likes him very much recently. I don't know what's good. She doesn't even have 1.88 million. A man who can't support a woman is not a man. No, I still like the Antarctic star just now. It's beautiful and doesn't drag things out. There is still a little trick. I just like smart women. Now when we talk about Xu Jinyao and Xu Jiaxing, they are actually stepping on the same remarks. And the one who was stepped on was still her. Xu Jinyao couldn't help it. She stopped and turned around. Grandma, you have already saw it. It's not my fault. I said I would give it to Xu Jiaxing, but who knew that she would use this method to deceive me? After saying that, she rolled her eyes directly at the three people before leaving. Several people were stunned, as if they hadn't realized that the person who had just spoken was Xu Jinyao. Xu Jinyao, who is known as the head of the new generation of pure jade girl. She actually called me grandma. Am I that old? My daughter is only in junior high school this year. She definitely did it on purpose. Mrs. Zhou, don't be angry. I don't think the guest was talking about you just now. For a moment, the whole 4 floors became lively. What are you proud of? A little drama, relying on the man to rise to the top. You wait, I will immediately ask my husband to cancel the cooperation with sus group. I heard that she is a wild seed or a fake gold. Anyway, it's not the seed of the Shu family. Is it true or not? The voice behind him came one after another, like the waves hitting the shore. And the waves turned into a slap and hit Shu Jinyao's face again and again. She was angry and wanted to curse back, but Gu Huizhu beside her had reached out and pulled him into the elevator. Shu Jinyao, calm down. Amy followed them and pressed the elevator button. Although she turned her back to them, she still stretched out her ears to listen to gossip. When Gu Huizhu saw her action, he endured Shu Jinyao's dissatisfaction and anger in his heart. What do you want to hear? His voice was cold, and there was a trace of not very calm gnashing of teeth in his words. Amy was stunned and quickly apologized. I'm sorry, Mr. Gu. I didn't want to hear anything just now, but my ears were a little uncomfortable. Gu Huizhu just snorted coldly. Fortunately, the elevator door opened quickly. Amy took them to the monitoring room and happened to meet Lily, who copied a video. Shu Jinyao hated Wu and Wu. She stared at Lily and said angrily, I can't wait to be Shu Jiaxing's lackey. I'm really angry. Lily frowned. Her personality is weak, and in the face of people with such a status as Shu Jinyao, she can fight back. Lily even gave way and let them go. Amy sneered when she passed by. It was also a bereaved dog. Lily didn't know where the courage came from. She suddenly turned to Shu Jinyao and said, Miss Shu didn't trick you into signing. You signed it voluntarily. Even if you have surveillance, you are destined not to be recognized by the police. Evil has evil retribution. Even a small salesman dares to talk to her like this. Shu Jinyao clenched her back teeth. Do you dare to say it again? It's the same again. Do you want to hit someone? Don't forget, you insulted me first. After saying that, Lily turned around and ran. Blame her all. Shu Jinyao's eyes suddenly turned red. When she looked at Gu Huizhu, her face returned to her previous grievances and pity. Brother Huizhu, Shu Jiaxing just wants to kill me. Gu Huizhu originally wanted to comfort him, but when he thought of her like a shrew just now, he frowned deeply. He said firmly, Don't worry, the police will come soon. I will ask Shu Jiaxing to apologize to you in person. Shu Jinyao didn't notice Gu Huizhu's dislike, and hugged his arm and said, Thank you, Huizhu brother. Amy on the side coughed softly, Miss Shu, Mr. Gu, shall we also copy the video now? Shu Jiaxing was served deliciously by Xiaotao and Lily. Looking at the video copied by Lily, Shu Jiaxing looked up and stared into her eyes. Have you taken a rough look at the surveillance videos of the past week just now? Facing her question, Lily nodded and said, According to what you said, I have seen it once, but I haven't found Miss Shu Jinyao coming to our store. Shu Jiaxing nodded clearly, looked at her eyes unrelentingly, and asked, Did you also see the surveillance of Amy and your colleagues hiding in the corner and saying bad things about other guests? Lily hummed. She did see this. The security guard also heard my voice. It was indeed Amy and others who were saying it. It was not wrong. Very good. She withdrew her gaze and a smile appeared on her face. If I became the owner of this store later, I would definitely hire many RLs like you to work. Lily smiled shyly, and I didn't have anything good about it. Okay, what's wrong? Shu Jiaxing used the tool of the electric eye camera on himself and tried to talk to the system about the loopholes in the prop rules, which also used on Lily. Lily didn't know that her eyes were like the computer screen she was watching just now, playing all the surveillance videos she had seen. Even in Shu Jiaxing's ear, the sound in the headphones will be played when the video is monitored. The electric eye camera can transmit what you see to an electronic device. This thing is good, but unfortunately I can't have it forever. Shu Jiaxing saw the surveillance video that Lily had just seen with her own eyes from her eyes. Naturally, there were many videos of Amy saying bad things about others. Lily also knew how to listen to the voice inside with headphones. Shu Jiaxing transmitted these things directly to the mobile phone. These things are enough for Amy, who doesn't know how thick it is, to eat a pot. Soon the police came, and several people recorded their confessions separately. Shu Jinyao cried before she could speak, and I didn't know. How could it be like this? She wants me to sign this agreement like that, and she must have known the above content for a long time. She colluded with this store to cheat my money, and maybe she will withdraw the deduction. She is beautiful, and she also wears clothes and accessories that can see the brand logo at a glance. The policeman who recorded her confession was teased by her and comforted her repeatedly. Miss Shu, please rest assured that we will find out the truth no matter what. Shu Jinyao knows how to take advantage of her beauty. She wiped the tears on her face and smiled at the little policeman who was talking. Then thank you in advance. Chapter 54 I am going to sue. Xu Jiaxing recorded the confession normally, and Xiao Tao and Lily were still telling their subjective judgment to the police. She directly handed over the video to the police. Comrade police, I'm going to sue for this matter. Xu Jiaxing's voice interrupted Xiao Tao and Lily, who were still angry for her. I called the police today, which caused you trouble. But if I attend the hearing and need evidence in the future, I hope you can do me a favor and tell you the fact that they slandered me. Her attitude is not humble, but she is absolutely sincere. The policewoman nodded. Don't worry, if we verify the fact that you have been wronged, we will definitely give you an innocence and justice. Xu Jiaxing smiled gratefully. Because they are public figures, both sides have a lawyer to discuss with the police and record confessions in the laugh store. Therefore, after the police left, Xu Jiaxing met Xu Jinyao and Gu Huizhu again. At this time, there was no one else around. They stood at the door of the lounge, blocking the way of both sides. Xu Jiaxing raised his faint eyes and swept over the two of them coldly. The good dog didn't get in the way. Xu Jinyao snorted coldly. You know that, then get out of the way. Gu Huizhu frowned deeply and deliberately held Xu Jinyao's hand in front of Xu Jiaxing. You are sisters. Is it necessary to make such a fuss? He stared at Xu Jiaxing's face. I don't know why. Obviously, this woman hasn't changed much, let alone plastic surgery, but she seems to be more beautiful than before. The figure is also better. Xu Jiaxing didn't want to talk nonsense with them, so he directly made a high kick. The two were shocked and subconsciously retreated. Xu Jiaxing withdrew his legs and walked through the aisle. They gave up. Xu Jinyao was shocked. When she came back to her senses, she saw Gu Huizhu's eyes falling on Xu Jiaxing's back, looking thoughtful. She immediately said with tears, Did my sister want to hit us just now? But we didn't do anything. Brother Huizhu, how did her sister become like this? She used to be very gentle. Gu Huizhu withdrew his eyes and let go of Xu Jinyao's hand. If you don't mention her, shall we go shopping again? Don't let her affect your mood. The way he spoiled Xu Jinyao moved Xu Jinyao's heart. Xu Jinyao nodded. Okay, thank you, Brother Huizhu. Brother Huizhu still needs to help with the liquidated damages just now, otherwise I don't know what to do. She took Gu Huizhu's arm intimately, with a happy smile on her face. But Gu Huizhu's expression suddenly stopped. Just now, when the police decided that the liquidated damages should indeed be paid, Xu Jinyao said, borrow, and said that she would give him the money after returning home from here. How did he help now? If I tell Dad about this matter, he will definitely think you are very responsible. Hearing Xu Jinyao say this delicately, Gu Huizhu's expression was a little more relaxed. It's okay, as long as you are happy. He is very good at pleasing Xu Jinyao. The two didn't seem to take what had just happened the same thing, and went to several layers of different accessories above laugh to have a look. It's just that no one has seen any more stunning jewelry like the cuff just now. And both of them didn't buy anything secretly, because the budget had been used to compensate for liquidated damages. Xu Jiaxing has bought everything he wants and is ready to leave. Lav also specializes in distribution, which is in charge of Lily and Xiao Tao. They sent Xu Jiaxing out with an apologetic face. I'm sorry, Miss Xu. I caused you trouble today. Xu Jiaxing shook his head gently. It's not your fault. It's the fault of the shopping guide, who didn't make the agreement clear to Xu Jinyao. Xiao Tao, be more confident and don't belong to yourself. Your mistakes are on your own, because others may not appreciate you and only think that you are an angry and easy to bully. There will definitely be more such things happening in the future. If you want to be a good store manager, you don't just need to help all the clerks complete the task. You also need to teach them to deal with it by themselves, and you also need to know who is suitable to stay here and who is not. Only in this way can you succeed. Xiao Tao was slightly stunned and nodded with red eyes. Think why? Oh, Miss Xu. I know what to do in the future. Xu Jiaxing got in the car and drove away from Lav. When she got home, Lav's car should have delivered her things long ago. Xu Jiaxing took a deep breath and asked the system, hasn't they been asked to pay the liquidated damages? Why is there no hint of successful slap in the face? You did succeed in hitting the face. However, with your upgrade, such a small face slap ceremony will not be reminded in the future, but will directly add a few points or attribute values to you. Unless the hatred value reaches a certain threshold, the better your face slap effect, the greater the reward. The sound of the SY stem sounded, and Xu Jiaxing was a little disappointed. It turns out that the threshold of slapping in the face has been raised. The system seems to have sensed her emotions, but you can rest assured that as you upgrade, the rewards you get will get better and better. Isn't the electric eye camera, this time a prop that transcends scientific explanation? Xu Jiaxing snorted coldly. Which prop do you say is not? The system actually smiled mechanically, and maybe it can set off for permanent props in the future. She couldn't wait to ask, is there an electric eye camera? Yes, the system paused, and a mechanical sound sounded. I just checked it for you. There is permanent prop, electric eye camera. Can only bind one person, but you can transfer the images you recorded to any device, even to your memory. Shu Jiexing cheered secretly, then I have to work hard. As soon as the car arrived at the villa, Qin Zixian rushed out of it. Miss Shu, are you alright? Shu Jiexing got out of the car and shook his head. It's okay. Where's Ace? He looked disappointed. He also heard the manager I gave you, Sister Persimmon, calling. Knowing that you had called the police and laugh, he didn't think of coming out to care about you at all. She looked at Qin Zixian. Why did you call Persimmon? Qin Zixian scratched the back of his head. I'm just worried about you. Inexplicable. Shu Jiexing squinted his eyes. You'd better not lie to me. Qin Zixian said with a smile, of course not. Shu Jiexing walked to the door and saw Qin Yawo slowly coming down from upstairs. Have you tried on the clothes? She walked upstairs and didn't see a strong jealousy in her eyes when Qin Zixian stared at Qin Yao's. Chapter 55 Crazy with Jealousy, What's Wrong? He looked at Shu Jiexing and ignored Qin Zixian's gaze downstairs. Shu Jiexing frowned. It's nothing. Let's try on clothes first. I guess you should be able to wear them. Qin Zixian asked. How did you estimate it? Shu Jiexing turned around, smiled slightly, and touched the estimate. Qin Zixian stared. Is the clothes still Brother Zhe? She ignored him and directly pushed Qin Yao's upstairs and locked Qin Zixian, who followed him outside the door. Damn it. Looking at the servants transporting Lav's things upstairs, Qin Zixian couldn't help but clench his fists. If Qin Yao's is not here, Shu Jiexing's partner for the party tonight should be himself. Buzzing, the mobile phone in the pocket vibrates. He saw the caller ID and went back to his room. How about it? Did Shu Jiexing say he would take you there? According to my investigation, she didn't. Choose any capitalist who invited her to be her male companion. She should take you there. I really envy you. At the other end of the phone is my good friend Chen Shan. Qin Zixian heard it and sighed. No, I didn't tell you that the young owner of the Qin Group, who was kicked out, is now living in Sister Xing's house. Their relationship looks ambiguous, but it's not a boyfriend and girlfriend relationship. Then you have to cheer up. As they were talking, there was a sound outside the room. They came out of the room. I won. Tell you. Qin Zixian hung up the phone and hurried out. Sister Xing, today you. He originally wanted to take the initiative to attack, but when he saw the clothes Qin Yao's was wearing, he was stunned. It's just that the suit with a little fabric luster seems to be completely unlike his figure. Not more or less. Whether it is the color or the layout, it complements Qin Yao's cold face. This suits him. This is a treasured piece of Lav. Even if Qin Zixian has never entered Lav, he has seen it in the magazine. But seeing this dress in person is much more vivid than seeing it in the picture in the magazine. Shu Jiexing asked Qin Zixian, how about it? My eyesight is not bad, right? This set of clothes is just right for A's. That's right. That's the price. Qin Zixian's legs are weak, and he has to hold the door frame to stand firmly. Well, it's very suitable for Brother Zhe, but Sister Xing, what kind of dress do you have? I'm more curious. Qin Zixian went crazy with jealousy. But he can. Show half in front of Shu Jiexing. He put his hands in his pockets to hide the palms he had clenched into fists. Shu Jiexing said with a smile, I'll show you later. She went back to her vacation, and only Qin Yao's, who looked indifferent, and Qin Zixian, who could no longer help but be jealous, were left in the corridor. Brother Zhe, Sister Xing is so kind to you. His tone was mixed with some soreness. Qin Yao's hummed. Now that you know, don't play tricks on her anymore. If you are smart enough, you know that you can't get anything from staying here. Are you persuading me to give up? Qin Zixian smiled, but I just don't give up easily. Just chasing women. Or is it a woman who can make you worry-free in the second half of your life? There was a trace of mockery in Qin Yao's voice. Qin Zixian was pierced and frowned tightly. What qualifications do you have to say about me? Aren't you the same? I was kicked out by my own family, but now I follow a woman to eat soft rice. Why do you say I eat soft rice? This time, it was Qin Yao's turn to laugh out loud. I didn't say that you eat soft rice. After all, you can live here now, and occasionally say a few words to the stars, but it's all because you have worked hard. Otherwise, do you think you can stay here? Qin Zixian gritted his teeth, or you can wait, and see who will be the male host, in this villa in the end. Qin Yao's restrained his smile and looked at Qin Zixian coldly. I advise you not to daydream. After saying that, he turned around and knocked on Shu Jiexing's door. After getting permission, he opened the door directly and went in. Jin Zixian knew that if it were him, Xu Jiaxing would not allow him to enter. But there is no other way. Now it is really difficult for him to shake Qin Yao's position in Xu Jiaxing's heart. In the room, Xu Jiaxing has changed his dress, wearing a thin shawl on his body, and is sitting in front of the mirror with makeup. Qin Yao's went in, glanced at Xu Jiaxing in front of the mirror, and then sat on the small sofa. Why did you remember to take me there? You can take it if you want. Do you need a reason? Qin Yao's eyes fell on her slender waist. Under the fabric of the dress, Xu Jiaxing's figure loomed. If he doesn't know, he cannot think about it. But it is precisely because he has touched almost every inch of her body, that he knows the taste and wants more. Qin Yao's rolled between his throat, and squeezed out a sentence from it. I mean, there should be many people inviting you to this party. Why did you refuse? Xu Jiaxing looked back with an eyeliner in his hand. It was still the same sentence. If you refuse, just refuse. Do you need a reason? After saying that, a slight smile appeared on her lips. This smile has no special meaning. But when she turned her head to continue her makeup, Qin Yao's couldn't help standing up again, and walked to Xu Jiaxing's side. Do you need any help? Xu Jiaxing looked at the man standing beside him from the mirror, with a merciless sneer on his face. It seems that Ace has dated many girlfriends before. Qin Yao's fingertips fell on her shoulder. How to say it? You can even put on makeup. Do you usually wear makeup? Xu Jiaxing took his hand, and took a closer look. Your face, a little more decorated, is full of snakes and feet. He couldn't help hooking his lips. Can I take this as if you are praising me? Xu Jiaxing's red lips raised slightly. Of course, I am praising you. But I have to hurry up now. I didn't agree to any capital's invitation in the first place. If I go a little later, I don't know how to be criticized. Qin Yao's held back the lust that came up in his heart. He just wants to cooperate with her, and let her get everything he wants. Okay. Sitting back on the sofa, Qin Yao's waited for a long time, before seeing Xu Jiaxing stand up from the dressing table. She herself is the tallest among female stars. She is not wearing high heels yet, and she looks very handsome and beautiful. This diamond dress with the end of the skirt is colored in dark blue. It makes Xu Jiaxing's fair skin more clean. The makeup on her palm-sized little face is exquisite but elegant, which complements the hair casually curled behind her ears. Qin Yao's was stunned. Chapter 56. What's the reward? He has seen all women, but he has never seen such an unparalleled beauty as Xu Jiaxing. There was not much expression on her face, but it made people feel that she was as soft and warm as spring water. Xu Jiaxing stretched out his hand, and swayed in front of Qin Yao's. No, what kind of big scene has Mr. Qin never seen? Will you stare at me and see the god? There was a smile on her face, which made people feel like a spring breeze. But Xu Jiaxing is not such a person. If Qin Yao's didn't know her, he would have been impressed by her smile. His eyebrows were slightly raised, but he couldn't see the god. I was just thinking about what else Jiaxing looked like to surprise me. It seems that the word surprise is relatively heavy. Xu Jiaxing came forward and put his hands on Qin Yao's neck with a seductive smile on his face. It seemed that Aiza was really amazed by my beauty. Qin Yao's gently pinched her waist. So what's the reward? Xu Jiaxing smiled. Isn't it a reward to show you my beauty? If when she heard her words, he would be shocked. In the past, Xu Jiaxing was humble and never so enthusiastic. Even though her beauty is really touching. She took Qin Yao's arm and said, let's go, Ace, I only have one request for you. What? Xu Jiaxing was close to him, and printed a light lip print on the collar of his shirt. Don't seduce other women. Xu Jiaxing's right possessiveness gave Qin Yao's a great sense of satisfaction. He hugged her tightly in his arms, and sang softly on her lips. Then let's see if the stars can keep my heart. Xu Jiaxing pushed him away, and said coldly, don't forget, I'm your gold master now. Qin Yao's shouted obediently, Miss Jin, let's go now. As soon as the words fell, there was a knock on the door outside the room. Dawn. Think about it. The only person who likes to disturb people at this time is Jin Zixian. Xu Jiaxing took his arm again and let us go. Qin Yao's went to open the door, and saw that Jin Zixian really looked like a golden hair with a smell. He came to the door and looked at him suspiciously. Sister Xin, the driver is already waiting outside. Are you leaving now? He looked reluctant, and he was a little awkward at this time. It's like Xu Jiaxing is the emperor, who is about to leave the palace to make a private visit. Qin Yao's is the queen and can follow her. But Jin Zixian is just a concubine, and she can only see them off with envy. If Xu Jiaxing knew that Jin Zixian thought like this, he would why laugh for a whole week? Jin Zixian could only suppress his inner jealousy, and see the two of them intimately holding arms and going out. After their car left, he called his friend just now. Didn't Mr. Lin just say that he needed a male companion? Before the charity auction banquet begins, it is a good time for many people to expand their network. Xu Jiaxing was not in a hurry to go, and he didn't. He urged Xiaosong even if there was a traffic jam. When I arrived at the hotel, the auction was still half an hour away. The appearance of Xu Jiaxing is undoubtedly not a small sensation. After all, the fact that she spent a lot of money to buy the dress for her male partner in La V in the afternoon has already spread in the circle. Everyone wants to see this woman who spends money without blinking an eye, and even more to see what the man who deserves her so much money looks like. However, the appearance of Qin Yao's did not disappoint them. His flawless face, wearing that top dress, was as noble as a prince. Oh, no, it's the king. However, standing Xu Jiaxing also attracted everyone's attention. She is elegant and beautiful, and she looks like a queen. She is not the kind of queen who clings to the past, but the queen who controls the lifeblood of the country. But in any case, two people stand together and get along unexpectedly. Those people who originally wanted to mock Xu Jiaxing are now amazed and can't wait to go forward to ask her where she usually does skin and figure maintenance. However, Xu Jiaxing's eyes did not even fall on those who were staring at him. He gently swept over and walked to the auction site according to the signboard. She took Qin Yao's arm, and the distance between the two was close enough. Anyway, it has also been officially announced on the program that it is up to others to believe it or not. Xu Jiaxing suddenly remembered something and asked, by the way, is your family qualified to attend this charity bank? Oot. Qin Yao's understood what she meant and said lightly, enough. That is to say, you may meet the civet prince in your family tonight. Xu Jiaxing raised his eyebrows and looked sideways at Qin Yao's. He said, I am the civet cat. Although he didn't know what was going on with the Qin family, Xu Jiaxing felt that people like Qin Yao's were not the crown prince, and I'm afraid that the people around him were not qualified to say that they were the heirs of the big group. However, Xu Jiaxing didn't say it out. She said, oh, fortunately, you are a civet cat, otherwise I can't take care of you at all, can I? Qin Yao's looked at Xu Jiaxing. You were right. I already knew that Qin's group was going to choose an heir when I was recording the program. Xu Jiaxing didn't mean that, but in the face of Qin Yao's frankness, she was quite satisfied. It's okay. I don't admire the strong, but I like to protect those who are weaker than me. Of course, even if you are the heir of the Qin group, you are not a strong man in my eyes. In this world, the only person most qualified to say this sentence is Xu Jiaxing. Qin Yao's didn't say anything and followed Xu Jiaxing into the auction hall. A waiter guided them to sit in their seats. As soon as they sat down, a gray-haired old man came towards them. The old man was in good spirits, and there were not too many wrinkles on his face. But he has gray hair, and it is difficult for people to guess his correct age. Hello, Miss Xu. Even his voice is not that old. Xu Jiaxing slowly raised his eyes, stared at the old man's face, and raised the corners of his lips. Are you? She didn't even stand up. The old man introduced himself. I am Zinglin, the chairman of Bei Ai Group. I think you must have heard my name. Lin Yi. Lin Yi. The system is also describing this person's information. Lin Yi, the chairman of Bei Ai Group, is one of the villains who stumbled the hero and heroine in the book. Because he loves the heroine, he wants to get the heroine, but because he doesn't get the heroine in the end, he wants to destroy the heroine. Xu Jiaxing was a little surprised to hear this, but he was already so old. Yes, he is one of the perverts in this book. Chapter 57 Pervert. Or one of them. The corners of Xu Jiaxing's mouth twitched. The pervert who should have revolved around the heroine Xu Jinyao, how did he turn to his side? The white-haired old man was not annoyed to see that she hadn't spoken for a long time, with a graceful smile on his lips. If it hadn't been for the prompts of the system, it would have been really difficult for Xu Jiaxing to match this very kind-looking old man with a pervert. Sorry, I really don't know who you are. Xu Jiaxing smiled slightly, stretched out his hand shallowly, and shook hands with him. Just that before their hands touched each other, Qin Yao's hand stretched out first and touched the old man's hand. Hello, Mr. Lin. Many people in the entertainment industry know Qin Yao's name, let alone in the business circle. You know, the general reason why Qin's group can have today's prosperity is this young man. Lin Yi squinted and stared at the man, who stopped him from shaking hands with Xu Jiaxing, and the displeasure flashed in his eyes. Mr. Qin, oh no, now that you are not in the Qin group, I really don't know what to call you. In the face of the elders and emotional greetings, Qin Yao's had no expression on his face, which was up to Mr. Lin to volunteer. Xu Jiaxing saw that there seemed to be a spark between the two, so he said, Sir, is there anything else? If not, please give way. I feel that the exhibits have been introduced on the stand. She spoke lightly, as if she didn't know that Lin Yi was also one of the bosses invited to her tonight. Lin Yi also saw Xu Jiaxing's coldness and was a little unhappy. But soon, Lin Yi regained his gentlemanly demeanor. Well, our company's cosmetics is looking for spokespersons recently. If Miss Xu is interested, I hope we can talk about cooperation. Lin Yi said, but Xu Jiaxing didn't even look at him, and he didn't know whether he was listening to him carefully. His well-maintained face finally showed a trace of displeasure. Miss Xu, I'm talking to you. Xu Jiaxing came to his senses. Oh, really? Old sir, what are you talking about? Lin Yi is 68 years old this year, but what I hate most is that when others call her, she puts the word, old, in front of it. Forget it if Qin Yao's just called. After all, looking at his infinite appearance here tonight, he couldn't tell whether Xu Jiaxing appeared as Qin Yao's female companion or Qin Yao's appeared here as Xu Jiaxing's male class. But in any case, it's wrong for a suddenly popular female star to disrespect him so much. Thinking of this, the smile on Lin Yi's face soon became unbearable. His voice suddenly became cold. Is Miss Xu a little too disrespectful? After all, I am more than 10 years older than your father. Xu Jiaxing finally looked at the gray-haired pervert. Oh no, the old man. She smiled lightly at Lin Yi. This smile was so beautiful that even when Lin Yi saw it, he temporarily dispelled his undissatisfied mood. I'm sorry, Mr. Lin, but she still doesn't repent of her name. I think you may have misunderstood. Lin Yi thought to himself, after all, she is a beauty, and a beauty can make mistakes. He is willing to forgive. Unexpectedly, the corners of Xu Jiaxing's mouth turned up with a mocking arc. You are not only a few years older than my father, you may be a few years younger than my grandfather. Lin Yi's face changed. You? Xu Jiaxing covered his mouth and looked surprised. Did I say something wrong? Sorry, but you really look like you are in your 70s. Lin Yi gritted his teeth in anger. But there have been people sitting around one after another. Almost everyone is a first-class enterprise in the upper class, or powerful. Lin Yi doesn't want to lose his face in front of these people. After all, his external image is so graceful and respected. Lin Yi lowered his voice and said, you seem to have forgotten your identity today. Really? The sarcasm in Xu Jiaxing's eyes deepened. Did I forget, or Mr. Lin didn't know it all? Today, I came in with an invitation. What is my identity? Do you need me to confirm with the organizer, and then reply to Mr. Lin? She was so clever that Lin Yi never expected it. He also thought that a star like Xu Jiaxing should flatter him. Why? Lin Yi really has no resistance to young and beautiful girls. Obviously, Xu Jiaxing is still the best among such girls. But this does not mean that he will lose his position for Xu Jiaxing. Qin Yao said lightly at this time. If there is nothing wrong with the old gentleman, he can indeed sit down. Because you also seem to block the sight of the people behind you. Lin Yi smiled and didn't smile. Well, see you later when the auction is over. No one responded to him, so Lin Yi had to walk to the side by himself. After he left, Qin Yao looked at Xu Jiaxing. Did you know that what he said just now would offend him? Xu Jiaxing doesn't care. What are you afraid of offending? He will deal with you. How to deal with me? Did she sneer, block me, or find someone to kidnap me? Qin Yao's frowned slightly. Aren't you afraid? She looked sideways and stared at Qin Yao's. Why should I be afraid? That's right. When was Xu Jiaxing afraid? Qin Yao's opened her mouth and wanted to comfort her not to be afraid, but she couldn't say it. Soon, the auction will begin. Looking at the host on the stage, and began to introduce the exhibits. Xu Jiaxing smiled slightly and said to Qin Yao's, it's really 30 years in Hedong and 30 years in Hexi. Qin Yao's is puzzled. What? Last time, you seemed to be sitting alone in the VIP seat. But today, it is the two of them sitting in the VIP seat. Moreover, Qin Yao's still appeared here as Xu Jiaxing's male companion. Qin Yao's gently hooked the corners of his lips, smiled and said nothing. It's just that I didn't see Gu Hue Zhu and Xu Jinyao today. However, Xu Jiaxing saw an acquaintance, but she didn't care. You can bid for anything you like, no matter how high the price is. Xu Jiaxing was close to Qin Yao's ear. Today, he came here to focus on a consumption. Her warm breath hit Qin Yao's ear, like a feather gently brushing through her. Qin Yao's mind moved, and he involuntarily put his hand on the back of Xu Jiaxing's hand and gently hooked it. Okay. Xu Jiaxing hooked the corners of his lips and seduced me. Qin Yao's coughed lightly and looked at the exhibits first. There is nothing special, but there are many beautiful ornaments. Qin Yao's likes an antique brooch, while Xu Jiaxing likes an antique plum bottle. Chapter 58. There is no meaning of competition, and the rest has no meaning of competition. So the two left early. After completing the payment procedures, they returned to the home field of the banquet. The home of the banquet is divided into indoor and outdoor. It's October now, and the weather is cool. Xu Jiaxing didn't want to go out to get cold. After tasting a few glasses of red wine from a famous Italian winery, he was bored and ready to leave. As soon as she took 2 steps in a dizzying head, her arm was clamped hard. Xu Jiaxing. The man's doubtful voice sounded, and Xu Jiaxing looked at him with a slight mockery at the corners of his mouth. I thought it was someone, but it turned out to be my cheap brother. Xu Lin stared at Xu Jiaxing, looked at her most beautiful cheeks and noble posture, and couldn't help frowning. However, I haven't seen him for only 2 or 3 months. How did this wild child, who was sent back to the Xu family from the countryside, become so temperamental? Temperament is one thing, what's the matter with the expensive dress on her body and the expensive jewelry she is carrying? Xu Lin understood in an instant. Don't forget that you still have the word, Xu, on your head. Before doing anything, think about whether it will embarrass the Xu family, understand? Xu Jiaxing was a little drunk. He was in a good mood, but when he saw Xu Lin's stinky face like his dead parents, he was instantly unhappy. Who are you? Why do you care about me? Xu Lin gritted his teeth. I am your brother. I have the responsibility to take care of you, let you humiliate the Xu family, and let you not embarrass the Xu family. Shameful. Xu Jiaxing laughed out loud. Instead of worrying about me, you'd better worry about whether Xu Jinyao would embarrass the Xu family. After all, she was really ashamed enough in this variety show. Isn't it all about you and her, to do everything? Xu Lin grabbed her arm with a little force. If it weren't for you, how could Jinyao be so humiliated? Speaking of which, you really should apologize to her. I apologize. Don't you think it's ridiculous, when you say this? What's so funny? Xu Lin was very dissatisfied with her disrespectful attitude. Xu Jiaxing easily pushed his finger away and smiled coldly. You are quite ridiculous. Do you want to teach me a lesson? You also need to see whether you are qualified. Xu's group is qualified to enter the banquet, but it seems that only Xu Lin came on behalf of Zu's group. Who knew that she was so strong that even Xu Lin, who was exercising all year round, was easily pushed away by him? It seems that Zu's group didn't take pictures of anything. Strangely, such a big enterprise doesn't want to emerge at the charity banquet to win the favor of the industry, so as to raise the stock value in the market. Xu Jiaxing's words, like a needle, accurately poked into Xu Lin's heart. Do you think the auction exhibits are too expensive? She sneered. Is it to compensate Xu Jiaxing's public relations and lose a lot of money to the brokerage company? TSK, if you have time, you really need to educate Jinyao's sister well. Why are there so many things in the variety show that have been decided? Oh. Xu Jiaxing suddenly exclaimed and covered his mouth. Has his sister's black material affected the stock of Zu's group? Has it fallen a lot? Brother, don't scold her. What's wrong with her? You just lost some money, but she was scolded until she was in a bad mood. In terms of acting, Xu Jiaxing is a professional. Xu Lin clenched his back teeth. Don't feign you like me in this place? Xu Jiaxing's mouth shrinted, and the eldest brother was angry. You should pay attention that this is a public place, and kilowatts can't embarrass the Xu family. Xu Jiaxing, she is right. Xu Jinyao's matter not only cost the Xu family a lot of money, but also affected the stock of Zu's group. It's just that the Xu family spoiled Xu Jinyao, and no one said anything important to her. Xu Jiaxing is different. Although he knew that she was the bloodline of the Xu family, because they had not lived together since childhood, and she also made Jinyao always cry, Xu Lin didn't like her. Xu Jiaxing's eyes were undisguisedly provocative, and Xu Lin was stimulated and finally raised his palm. Isn't that the effect she wants? Xu Jiaxing screamed, which attracted many people's attention. However, before the slap was taken down, a straight figure stood in front of her. Mr. Xu, Qin Yao's cold eyes were full of danger. Before you do it, should you think about the consequences? Xu Lin, I'm already angry. At this time, I am a little hysterical. What does it have to do with Mr. Qin, when I teach my sister a lesson? As soon as the words fell, he realized that the current Prince of Qin's group had already changed people. Xu Lin sneered. Even if he wants to be a hero to save the beauty, should Mr. Qin see if he is qualified? Qin Yao's was not annoyed either. He stared at Xu Lin coldly, and shook off his hand. Then he took out a warm wet towel from the tray of the passing waiter to wipe his hands, and threw it on Xu Lin. Qin Yao's, what are you? Xu Lin, who felt insulted, stared at Qin Yao's, who was 1 head taller than himself. You are just a wild seed driven out by the Qin family. Okay, Xu Jiaxing's purpose has been achieved. She just wants Xu Lin to look crazy. There is no need for Qin Yao's to be bitten by this mad dog. Xu Jiaxing pulled Qin Yao's behind her. She was surprised and said aggrievedly, "Brother, how did you become like this?" "Didn't. You always be a very gentleman and gentle. You look like you will do domestic violence. If someone else's celebrity sees you, who dares to marry our Shu family?" Shu Lin was furious. "Shu Jiaxing, shut up." Shu Jiaxing stepped back half a step, and his eyes were red, and he choked, "Brother, I know I have just been recognized by the Shu family, and you don't like me very much. But I didn't do anything wrong. It's not my fault that I was wrongly held by the hospital. Why do you blame me? I don't know why Jinyao doesn't like me." "What?" Some people around were amazed that Shu Jiaxing was actually the henchman of the Shu family. "I heard that the Shu family seemed to have confirmed that a daughter, who had been separated for many years, had returned home. I didn't expect it to be Shu Jiaxing. No wonder she spends so much money. It turns out that there is Zas Group behind her to support her. But it's not right. How can Zas Group squander so much money on her?" Public opinion has come one after another, and a slight smile flashed in Shu Jiaxing's eyes, but his face was still extremely wronged. Chapter 59. It made everyone laugh. She said, "Brother, tell me, what did I do wrong to make you hate me so much? I can change it. In order not to make my sister unhappy, I don't live at home now and live outside alone. I don't know what else I can do to satisfy your parents." Shu Jiaxing bit her lip. She was born beautiful, but after dressing up today, she is even more pitiful. In terms of appearance alone, Shu Jinyao is indeed not as good as her. There began to be a biased discussion around, saying the Shu family was inhumane. Shu Lin quickly explained, "No, what is the purpose of saying such words in public?" Shu Jiaxing followed his words and said, "What is my purpose? Does my brother really not understand?" Shu Lin opened his mouth and didn't know what to say for a moment. "I didn't expect that the Shu family was so big that it couldn't even accommodate a woman. It's still my own bloodline. What do you think? It's not your own blood that loves you for death, but your own blood, but you still drive you out of the door." He listened to the discussion around him and found that whatever he said was in vain. In the end, Shu Lin could only glare at Shu Jiaxing viciously, and then left angrily. Shu Jiaxing took Qin Yao's arm and looked at the wives and money who were watching the excitement with an apologetic face. "Sorry, I let everyone watch the joke. She is beautiful and has a gentle attitude." Compared with Shu Lin, who left with her sleeves and turned her face, Shu Jiaxing naturally attracted a lot of favor. "It's okay. If Miss Shu has any difficulties in the future, you can come to me. This is my business card. If the Shu family doesn't want you, it's really a loss. Just now, I thought it was the money given to you by the Shu family. Now it seems that they don't want to care about you. I didn't expect that Shu's group, which announced how many charities it had done to the outside world, was actually nothing more than that internally." Shu Jiaxing left silently with Qin Yao's. They entered the lounge. Shu Jiaxing put on makeup and looked pale, as if he didn't take the victory just now seriously. Qin Yao's looked at her, and countless interested people appeared in his eyes. "What are you doing watching me?" Shu Jiaxing closed the foundation. Could it be that he was impressed by my acting skills just now? "In your opinion, I have nothing to improve." When she looked at Qin Yao's and asked about this sentence, her expression should not be too serious. The corners of Qin Yao's mouth twitched, "And you were so angry with Shu Lin. Otherwise." Shu Jiaxing smiled slightly. "If I can be angry with him, what's the use of my acting?" He stared at her and said for a long time, "Do you completely regard me as your own?" Shu Jiaxing got up, walked to him, and then sat on his lap. "What do you think? Do we have the same disease and pity for each other? But I am your gold owner." Qin Yao's laughed out loud and didn't have to emphasize it all the time. "Don't emphasize, do you remember?" Shu Jiaxing stretched out his index finger and raised his chin. "Why can't you remember?" He took the opportunity to come forward. Before the two kissed, the door of the lounge was open from the outside. "Qin Shao, don't worry." The woman's smile and the man's laughter came from the door. When she saw Shu Jiaxing and Qin Yao was in the room, the woman screamed. Qin Tian put the shocked woman in his arms and walked inside. "Brother, I didn't expect to meet you here. I thought you would never come to such an occasion again." Shu Jiaxing got up from Qin Yao's arms, and I went outside to wait for you. Qin Yao's didn't mean to talk to Qin Tian. He also stood up and followed her to go out. But Qin Tian blocked the door and blocked their way, with the shy 18-line little star female companion in his arms. The woman looked at Shu Jiaxing, and then leaned towards Qin Tian. "Qin Shao, they were going to go there." Qin Tian asked with a smile, "If they want to go there, do we have to get out of the way?" "On what basis?" The woman's laughter is sharp. "Qin Shao, you are so bad. Once upon a time, the title Qin Shao was still represented by Qin Yao's. Of course. It's the same now. Even if Qin Tian has been officially introduced to the media by Qin Xiong, he will still be silently compared with Qin Yao's. Facts have proved that Qin Tian is not as good as Qin Yao's, whether it is appearance, ability, or means of work. It can be compared at all. Therefore, in the eyes of others, Qin Yao's is still Qin Shao, Qin Tian. If it weren't for the support of the Qin family's family behind him, I am afraid he was nothing. But there are people who want to please Qin Tian, such as Lin Lina, the little actress around him at the moment. Xu Jiaxing said lightly, a good dog doesn't stand in the way. Qin Tian sneered, which small cookie are you? She looked at the wall clock on the wall, and knew that it was illegal imprisonment, if it was blocked here for more than a few minutes. Do you talk about law with me? Qin Tian obviously began to see no one because he drank a little wine. Let me tell you, the Qin family is the law in the whole capital. Do you understand? Xu Jiaxing's face doesn't change color, so why don't you try it? She took out her mobile phone, and was about to call the police when Qin Yao suddenly held her hand. Xu Jiaxing looked up puzzledly. Do you want to speak for him? Qin Yao shook his head, and the next second, his big and powerful fist fell on Qin Tian's face. Qin Tian retreated repeatedly. Lin Lina's eyes widened in shock and quickly went to hold Qin Tian. Mr. Qin, how can you do it? At this time, her inner thoughts were fully revealed. Only Qin Yao's is worthy of the title of Qin Shao. Lin Lina didn't look for Qin Yao's before, and even when he was socializing, she deliberately found an opportunity to come forward. But Qin Yao's has always been cold-sighted and avoided. Not to mention giving her a chance to touch him. Just take a closer look. Qin Yao's can get her out of the social table. But now, she actually saw Xu Jiaxing sitting on his lap so ambiguously. The two seemed to be about to do something intimate, but were interrupted by them. Isn't Qin Yao's rumored to be gay? The jealousy in Lin Lina's heart still comes from Qin Yao's flawless face, and his sedging figure. Why does Xu Jiaxing have such an honor to have something to do with Qin Yao's? Is it just because she is rich? Hearing her address to Qin Yao's, Xu Jiaxing raised his eyebrows. Miss, did you call me wrong? Qin Shao is the one who was beaten down. Qin Tian's face changed and he shook off Lin Lina. Qin Yao's, are you fucking crazy? Do it if you don't agree with each other. I want to call the police. Qin Yao's repeated what Xu Jiaxing had just said in a cold voice. Good dogs don't get in the way. Chapter 60. It's simply too fierce, motherfucker. Qin Tian stood up and waved his fist directly at Qin Yao's. I'll beat you to death. Xu Jiaxing raised his mobile phone. A's, don't retaliate. Qin Yao's was obedient and did not fight back, but his eyes quickly dodged Qin Tian's fist attack. He hit the door panel, and it hurt so much that his face was distorted. Well, there is also the material to call the police. Xu Jiaxing put down his mobile phone. Qin Shao, I'll give you some advice. If you don't want to be kicked out of your house by your cheap father, you better be a man with your tail. Otherwise, if this video is released, you should know what the consequences will be. Qin Tian held his hands and looked at them fiercely. Xu Jiaxing added, by the way, you probably don't know much about it. People like you should be she'd except for money and women in their minds. But you can ask me to tell me that I don't mind explaining these things to a fool. I, Xu Jiaxing, am a person who repays grievances with virtue. Who believes it? Lin Lina looked at the aura exuding from her body, and didn't dare to go forward in time, for fear of being injured by mistake. Qin Tian gritted his teeth and said, you two are really bitches and dogs for a long time. Xu Jiaxing laughed out loud, stepped forward and looked up. He raised his head. You want to do it? Bang. She slapped hard and instantly printed a fingerprint on Qin Tian's face. Qin Tian looked at Xu Jiaxing in disbelievably, you bitch. Bang. Another slap in the face. Xu Jiaxing said, my hands are numb. You can continue to curse, but you better not meet me, otherwise I will see you once, and hit you once. After saying that, she raised her foot, and stepped hard on the instep of Qin Tian's foot. The thin high heel stomped on Qin Tian's instep like this. Qin Yao's left behind Xu Jiaxing, and the coldness on his face had already been broken and disappeared. It was replaced by shallow surprise and smile. His star is simply too fierce. Out of the break, Xu Jiaxing wiped his hands with a wet towel and swept the audience. It's boring. Let's go back. Qin Yao's nodded, okay? Qin Zixian, who had just come out of the bathroom and finally found Xu Jiaxing, was about to greet her. But she and Qin Yao's left the hotel gate. Behind him, a gorgeously dressed woman appeared from behind him. How can you be so good? The noble woman is obviously old enough to be Qin Zixian's mother. She holds his hand and feels bored. Shall we go first? Qin Zixian turned around and looked a little pale. I felt a little uncomfortable and wanted to go home first. I'll send you. The noblewoman seemed to like Qin Zixian, but Qin Zixian refused. No, I still want to go to the hospital. Sister Yoon, don't go to the hospital. Don. T go to the hospital and get sick. The lady thought for a while, well, then be careful on the road. I asked the driver to give you the red envelope. You can see that you have lost weight. Eat more good food at ordinary times. I will come to you when I come back from a business trip. Qin Zixian squeezed out a smile, okay? When I went back, it was Zhao Shan who replaced Xiao Song to drive. Xu Jiaxing drank some wine and had a headache because of the cold wind pouring in from outside the car window. Qin Yaouz closed the window of the car and covered Xu Jiaxing, who closed his eyes and pretended to sleep, with a blanket. He naturally held Xu Jiaxing's right hand and gently rubbed her palm. The red mark in the palm of the hand has not dissipated at this time. Qin Yaouz frowned slightly. When he thought of Qin Tan, a trace of anger flashed in his eyes. When the car arrived at the villa, Xu Jiaxing opened his eyes and his mobile phone began to vibrate. She took out her mobile phone and saw the number with Mom flashing. Xu Jiaxing frowned and looked at Qin Yaouz. Qin Yaouz thought she wanted to stay alone, so he got out of the car with Zhao Shan. Unexpectedly, Xu Jiaxing hung up the phone directly, grabbed his hand, and his legs were numb. She doesn't want to pick it up at all. Qin Yaouz paused slightly and immediately said, wait, I'll take you back. He turned to the other side to open the door, and carried Xu Jiaxing back to the villa. The mobile phone has been vibrating all the time. Xu Jiaxing directly deleted the number and then blocked it. Xu Jiao's mother looked at the number that could no longer be reached and slapped the table hard in anger. What on earth is Xu Jiaxing doing? You don't even answer my phone. Xu Jinyao held Za's mother and put her palm on her back. Mom, don't be angry. What if you get angry? Isn't my sister always like this? She came from a small place and was uneducated. Her adoptive parents couldn't teach her. She seemed to forget that Xu Jiaxing's adoptive parents were her biological parents. At this time, Xu Jinyao had completely left the relationship with them. Za's mother took a few deep breaths before she calmed down. It's better for us, Yao. I think it's better not to recognize her at the beginning. Now that she has the title of the Xu family, she is still eating inside and out. What a white-eyed wolf. Xu Lin sat on the sofa and looked at Xu Jinyao's sensible appearance, and half of the anger in his heart dissipated. I would be grateful if Xu Jiaxing was half as good as Yao. What she said outside today seemed as if the Xu family was abusing her. Xu's father snorted coldly. At the beginning, I knew she was not a good person. I said that it would be enough to pay the living expenses. There was no need to pick her up at all, but you didn't listen. Za's mother said angrily, I didn't think you might think of your own daughter. After all, that's your bloodline. But who knew she was such a person? Za's father sighed and said, what was this for? I thought so, but who knew that she would be so dissident and unfilial? Xu Jinyao on the side heard this, and her expression was depressed. When Xu Lin saw it, he frowned and said, well, don't talk about that white-eyed wolf. Anyway, my only biological sister is Yao. Do you have any other daughters? Xu's father and mother looked at Xu Jinyao, and showed with a sad face, Yao is my only daughter. Even if Xu Jiaxing comes back in the future, I will not recognize her, and let her live and die alone. No one is allowed to secretly take money from her. I want to see if all her money has been squandered, and whether the creditor will come to her door. They have thoroughly analyzed that since Xu Jiaxing was not taken care of, but he squandered so much money, he must have borrowed usury. No one in the Xu family was worried. Instead, they all held an optimistic attitude, and wanted to see the embarrassment of Xu Jiaxing's accident. Xu Jinyao smiled reluctantly. Thank you, Mom, Dad and brother. After your biological daughter and sister came back, they were so kind to me, and didn't give up on me. Xu Lin and others quickly comforted her. However, Xu Jinyao's expression was still melancholy, but in fact, her heart had already blossomed.